Ah, damn, it feels good to be Orthodox. I exchange. Wait, no audio. Hello. Hello. Audio fine now. Okay. My apologies, everybody. I had to unplug my microphone and plug it back in earlier, and I completely forgot about that. And my microphone was broken on YouTube's side as well. Way too crisp, I can hear you. No, I wasn't talking to YouTube. I was talking to TikTok. All right, TikTok wasn't working. Music. Yeah, and the music was playing. I just had to turn that. I was letting it go a little bit, okay? So, I today is supposed to kind of just be like an open debate stream, but I have to do some other stuff first during the stream. I'm not usually the type of guy that enjoys, what do you call that? Entertaining a bunch of drama stuff. But there's a little squabble thing going on the, on Twitter between me and Nikolai in Korea or whatever.
Oh boy. Have you seen the controversy with like the Lutherans and like Astro
What?
and militant atonement? Dude, it's bad. Like they're cursing Astro out right now. Like
Astro? Like as in like the Thomist Astro?
yes, dude, they're hating on that guy.
Why?
Like they hate his movement.
What did he say to them?
So basically like they were having I think it started with Wagner's video. So Wagner made a video on how Lutherans took a lot of the Socians like Trinitarian theology. And if you know, the Socians are not Trinitarian, like Arians, right? So he was defending Wagner, and then there's this guy named Dogma who they were originally friends with, and they've been beefing with each other. And Astro is like getting absolutely just like hammered down by these Lutherans. And they're also having debates on whether or not God can be seen with like the bodily eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a whole debate right now. And they're like, dude, it's like an appeal to mystery, bro. and like he's just cursing them out, and they're like, get baptized, bro. Even though he's like a Iranian.
Even though he's Iranian.
In the military, like
What?
This guy cannot get baptized, bro. He's gonna like Astro's like the biggest LARPer. D1.
I just don't know enough about him, dude. Like he always just like comes in and like debates people and then disappears for like a year.
Absolutely, yeah. This guy, he's really random.
He is really random. I agree.
He's like just a Wagner.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's kind of like me. He's like the Isaiah for Wagner, if that makes sense. Like Astro's just the Isaiah for Wagner. Like he only comes in like when Wagner's there. Like nobody knows who I am.
All right.
What's up, Albert?
Huh?
I'm just saying, what's up, somebody?
Oh, yeah, nothing much. I was about to start reading this stupid shit. Okay, so just to address this goober controversy going on. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit sick still, so you're gonna hear me sniffling every once in a while, but I'm pretty much good to go now. I decided today to speak my mind a little bit on X. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. The cesspit that it is. I made a mistake. I spoke my mind on X. And you know the problem is that all I did was simply address how there are people in existence that do these things. I wasn't trying to bring up a specific person to call them out, to start some scandal, right? Like, I didn't want to do scandal. I didn't want to start some scandal. Yet, I basically got made fun of, or not made fun of, but like denounced in a sense for being vague on what I was actually addressing, which is dumb.
Dude, I hate Twitter.
Yeah, me too.
So
I absolutely hate it. I grew so fast on it though that I decided to stick around.
I don't even like. I'm just there for the niche like quotes.
Yeah, I would not. Yeah, I would not be on this app if it didn't actually give me good traffic coming to YouTube and TikTok side, because it actually does really well at getting people over here for streams and stuff. That's the only reason why I stayed. Now, granted, it's also really fun to be. See, you know the convenience of Twitter or X. I can go on X and give me 5 seconds, and I can just spit my dog shit opinion out. And the whole world gets to see it. It's so epic.
Dude, I love it too, because like there'll be people with like 3 followers, no views in their tweets, and they'll be tweeting for like 5 years straight, saying the biggest BS like you've ever seen.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's fun. Like it genuinely is fun in this. Now, granted, okay, there are times where I say things that will piss off other Orthodox Christians. I don't give a crap if I piss off any other religion, any other denomination, whatever. All right, I'm Orthodox. I say stuff all the time that's going to make people mad.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen all the time. You know what I mean? Like the other day, I made an AI Photoshop image of Bessarion holding St. Peter Mogil's catechism. And that shit's funny to me. Sorry, dude. Sorry.
That was, yeah, I seen that.
Okay.
That's great.
That shit was funny. So again, like, but that's because I'm not like, I don't know how to say this. I'm not worried about the opinions of Catholics, just being honest. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. I'm not going to be blasphemous and crazy towards them. Like, I'm not going to, like, make, like, these horrible, like, edits of, like, their saints in hell or something. Like some Roman Catholics that I know like to do to ours.
Dude, you're looking at the screen like I'm doing that.
Not
like
you, not you, Isaiah. Not you, Isaiah. I'd say that honestly, you're probably the most ecumenical Catholic I've ever met in my life. All right.
Please stop. You can't say that. I'm gonna get.
You're the most. You're the coolest. He said, "What did I do?" No. But anyway, okay. So now I'm gonna go ahead and look at this here.
Am I like an Easternizer? Is that like a?
So who? So again, is Bryce J a Latinizer? Right, because of the fact that I get in fights with Nikolai in Korea. Is that a thing? No, of course, that's not a thing. Especially when we actually look at, you know, the criteria of like what it means to be this thing. And this is the exact reason as well, like why I said that I'm putting the open debate part on hold tonight, because I really just need to talk about this type of stuff for a little bit too, because it is genuinely a plague to a degree. This online strange issue that people create. All right, people create sectarian, or they create sects, right? SECT, okay. And they think there's like these, like weird, I don't know, like denominations within Orthodoxy. People will do this all day. Okay, so let me show this real quick here. This was simply all I said. Nikolai's going to get so much clout from this. I mean, he's already bigger than me, technically speaking. So it doesn't matter. Technically speaking, I'd be the one that's clout chasing. Right? Technically, I'm clout chasing because I'm addressing something that a bigger person said about me. He's technically bigger on YouTube, and he's bigger on Twitter. So
you need to beef with Wagner, bro, just so you get more clout.
There's no point in beefing with Wagner. He's boring.
He is kind of boring.
Wagner's very boring. Okay? So...
oh, this was a good tweet. I read this. This is good, though.
All right.
Like, I read this.
So this is what caused the problem, which is why I'm saying that this is not an issue between Latinizers and diorites or whatever. All right. This has nothing to do with any of that controversy. This has absolutely nothing to do with it. See, all I said was, Determining somebody's credulity in Orthodoxy, especially in the online apologetic space, has got to be one of the craziest mind game things I've ever seen. And I'm saying this from physically witnessing denouncements from different people who will go and like someone on their own side with the same issues, but then condemn another convert for doing apologetics only for 2 years. Then promote an even newer convert, right? This has happened many times. This is not even referring to recent shit. That's the funny part. This is something that I've noticed over time. This has nothing to do with recent problems, because guess what? I know that there was recent problems that occurred, but this is something that I actually saw on both sides. Because guess what? I personally like Sig, but guess what? When you look at how long Sig has been Orthodox, and then you look at how long, for example, Alex Soren has been Orthodox, it's very similar. They've been Orthodox for about a year's difference. Okay? The same. Now, granted, does that mean that therefore, oh, let's not listen to Sig. This time, right? The time that he's been Orthodox is not enough. Okay, right, cool. You guys want to know something funny? You know something funny?
Hit me.
I've been Orthodox for 2 years. I've been baptized since June 2024.
Dude, I find that so crazy. That's so, like, isn't that crazy how time flies like that, dude?
And nobody has a problem, right?
Yeah.
And they probably will now. Of course, now it's going to become a problem, right? Because I started publicly talking about this problem. Now I'm sure people are going to say, oh, don't listen to Bryce anymore. He's only been Orthodox for 2 years. You do realize that learning and understanding things is dynamic. It's completely dynamic to every person, right? Like, some people learn quicker than others on certain topics. Me, I have one of those kind of brains that just, when I read shit, I just remember it. I don't have to continuously study every single day for 10 hours. I don't have to. I can read a book and then I can remember it very meticulously, down to the chapter, down to the section, right? Because I have a brain for that. That's how I've always been. Not to self-glaze, because sometimes it's a problem, because I'd be remembering shit sometimes that I don't want to remember. Like stupid information, a whole lot of dumb information in my brain as well. You know? But determining that somebody shouldn't be able to teach from another layman, that's the funny shit, is when a layman tells another layman, you haven't been Orthodox long enough, you shouldn't be teaching. I love that. It's one of my favorite things.
At ZangryMedic 5974 super chatted $5. Hey guys, don't listen to Bryce. He's only been Orthodox 2 years.
I appreciate that, Angry Medic. I appreciate the $5, brother. Okay. But you see the thing, right? That's the thing. And you know what's funny? Is that multiple people on both sides have said that I'm a great person to listen to, that I'm a great person to get resources from, that I'm a great person to watch videos for. Both sides, many times. Many, many, many times. And you know what's funny? Now that I just publicly threw that out there in response to this controversy, you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen is that there's going to be now a probably small, little campaign where people are going to suddenly start no longer supporting me because of the fact that I called out something specific. Up until this point, they were okay with the things that I said, right? They liked what I was saying. But when I say, hey, by the way, I've been Orthodox for 2 years. Yes, I would say that I have a backing from my spiritual father. I have a blessing, right? I can say all these things, because I do, but the critique that's being given from these people are neophytes, don't listen to them. And yet, up until this point, people were okay with recommending me if I publicly admit, oh, by the way, I've also been Orthodox for only 2 years. Just so you know. People are suddenly going to stop recommending me. Suddenly now what I say is weird.
Watch your mouth, Bryce.
Okay. Now we got the trolling on the YouTube side there. Thank you, Maxodox, for the $10, so I appreciate that. Okay.
We love that.
So anyway, that is the beginning to this problem. I showed you guys the tweet that I simply made was that people are hypocrites on both sides of this problem when they try to say, don't listen to this guy because he's only been Orthodox for 2 years. And then somebody on the other side will be like, hey, by the way, go follow my buddy. He just converted last year and he's really good at apologetics. But guess what? He agrees with me. So I'm going to go recommend my buddy who be pushing my agenda, buddy. Guys are freaking losers, man. Sorry, both sides. You guys are both losers for this controversy. And that's why I'm calling them all out. All right.
Fat better, Bryce.
You guys are frauds. You guys are on fraud watch right now. Fraud watch. It's happening right now.
Dude, I wonder what he's doing. He's in a Twitter space right now. I'm kind of scared. What if he's watching your TikTok?
No, everybody's on fraud watch. Nathan for 5 Canadian. Thank you very much for that, brother. He says the Korean layman versus 2-year-old Bryce. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what's going to happen? No, I'm kidding. I don't really feel like debating over something like this. I just thought I would address it because he made 2 videos discussing this post. This is why I'm going to play it. Instead of basically going through this entire thing where I have to respond every time that he makes a goofy Cleave style video. Cleave's the only one that's allowed to make those response videos like that, by the way. Nikolai, you can't do that. That's stealing Cleave's format. So,
I need some LED lights like Cleve.
Yeah. Not neophyte EOs aren't on TikTok. Yeah. No, I agree. In most cases, unless we're talking about people like the guys that are in those coffee hour TikTok lives, Dom, a lot of the really old Orthodox guys are in there.
At Mexadox super chatted $9.99. On my way to slander you on X as we speak.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. So you see, it's gonna get good, right? Everybody's gotta, we gotta get into the slander games, right? We're in the slanders games. Okay. So that's the funny, and this is why I'm just gonna respond to this stuff here because there's just no point. There's no point in constantly creating this big thread. So again, my entire critique that I had was simple. Both sides of this equation are hypocrites when it comes to determining credulity of an Orthodox Christian to be listened to for apologetics. And this is my claim. Both sides recommend neophytes all the time. That both have spiritual backings. Now what? Now what do we do? There's plenty. Both sides of the equation. Thoughts on the Uber X? I don't know what that means.
Dude, these and there's
there's some Gen Alpha shit. I don't know what that means.
That's interesting. I don't know what that is either.
Do you think that we should listen to people who think speaking is not sound vibrations? See, no, I don't think so. Right? That's goofy. Okay. X Angry Medic, thank you very much for being a member for 10 months there, man. He says, funny enough, they have to admit to getting cooked by catechumen. Bryce J, I'm not a catechumen. Okay, I'm not a catechumen. I will say that. I'm not a catechumen. I am baptized. Okay.
I do wonder how many of these people that do apologetics do not have any formal allowance from their priests to do so.
Yes, Carson, I am caught up in One Piece, and Zoro will become king of the pirates. It's fine. Ooh, ball knowledge. Anyway, so one of the reasons also why this became a problem is because I got acceptance from the Jonathan Hill. See, this marked me for death. Do you understand that? This response marked me for death. And he simply just said, yeah, man, I agree. Dope, that's legit. Cool? That marked me for death. Okay. Anthony had a great point here with this, too. He said there's a lot of mudslinging going around here, and it's also unnecessary. We need more peacemakers, which, by the way, that's what I was trying to do. So it's what I've been trying to do for 2 years now, literally, actually, is trying to be a peacemaker, trying to be somebody who gets people to conversate or have discussions about these exact things. If we're willing to have unity, we must be able to take flack from both sides and examine the situation. I agree. Holy moly, dude. W. Anthony. W. Anthony for the epic opinion, right? Now, what did Nikolai decide to do? He decided to make a video responding to me. And there's two of them. There's two of them. And I'm just going to respond to them on stream and then move on. Because I don't really care to create a big giant, big giant stream of messages. Do you have eidetic memory or whatever Sheldon Cooper had? I don't have Sheldon Cooper's, like the Sheldon Cooper style. I think that's photographic. I don't have photographic. I have a memory that just makes it to where typically, if I'm interested in a topic, I don't forget the topic. If I'm not interested in a topic, I forget it extremely easily. So it's not the same. Like if you try to teach me about like mechanical engineering, I literally will probably never learn it. I'll keep forgetting it over and over and over.
At Mexadox super chatted $9.99. Bro got the Hill endorsement. W worked hard to get mine.
Yeah, funny. No, again, I have some opinions about Jonathan Hill, but that's for another day. Okay, like that's not even really the point of why I'm doing this. So, is it true you have the full Catechism of St. Peter Mogila memorized? No, that'd be awesome though. Selective memory sounds realistic there, Andre. That sounds like it makes sense. Mexadox donate to a charity or something. Noel says Mexadox saw some cash. I have textbooks to buy. Yeah, I know. Get to the debating, youngin. Dude, look, first off, I'm not just debates, okay? I'm a man. All right, I'm a man with feelings. All right, I'm simply just addressing something, Like this is fun. I'm doing something where I just be talking and I'll be hanging out sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real.
All right. Is there something wrong with that? Is there something wrong with that where people think I got to sit up here and be your little debate monkey? I got to be your little debate monkey?
Zangrimadic 5,974 super chatted $5. Bryce DM me if you want a Christopher Sarbot signed, quoted, certified Zorro Funko Pop. On the condition it stays in the background of every stream.
A Christopher Sabat signed, quoted, certified Zorro Funko Pop on the condition that it stays in the background every stream. Deal. Angry Medic. Deal. If you can get that for me, I will make sure that is in the background every stream from now on. I will literally make sure that I acquire a shelf. Okay? If you do that. Anyway.
Like Dion doesn't play Roblox on his TikTok lives, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Harsh comparison there.
Alrighty. Here we go. I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to respond. I'm going to play the next one.
See Bryce J commenting, of course, not having the balls to actually tag anybody because, everybody knows where the criticisms
I don't have the balls to cause scandal. See, that's the funny part. I don't have the balls to cause scandal.
At Mexadox super chatted $9.99. I'll donate to whichever neophyte I see fit, thank you.
People know very publicly what my opinions are on the actual issue itself. I've mentioned what I feel about theology hundreds of times, right? So, I'm not secretive when it comes to the people I'm okay with. I've said that many, many times. Now, granted, if I make a post on Twitter, I'm not just going to create a bunch of scandal. I'm not just going to freaking at this guy. Hey, you're a piece of shit. Hey, you're a freaking butt. What? You want scandal on... You want scandal on X. That's what you want. I have no balls to cause scandal, by the way.
are coming from for the most part. So let's get into this. The reality is, Bryce, the formula to determine whether or not you should be listening to somebody is very simple. One, do they have clergy backing what they're saying? Meaning they have clergy that regularly appear on their channel. They have clergy, their own clergy, that have given them permission to do so. If someone is...
Okay, so in terms of criteria right now, a shit ton of the people you call Latinizers are still within the running. So let's continue.
New to the faith, generally speaking, they should not be engaged in online apologetics. One, and this is true for anyone, even somebody who's been Orthodox for 10 plus years. You don't do apologetics unless you have permission from your priest and spiritual father, and that you are public about who they are, so you can be held accountable.
All right. So, on a personal note, I think that you should absolutely get a blessing from your priest. Right? I think that you give a blessing of your priest to do this because you want to do this.
99 cents. Real Housewives of Orthodoxy.
Thank you very much for that, Mexodox. I appreciate the donations today. You're killing it and single-handedly owning the goal. But I do believe on a personal level that that's a good idea to do. Okay? I think it's a good idea. Yeah. If your priest says don't be online talking about Orthodoxy, don't be online talking about Orthodoxy. I mean, it's simple, right? You should probably show your priest what you're telling people online as well. That's also a great idea and highly recommended for me personally. Now, here's what I'm not going to do. Think that your opinion is deleted and incapable of being correct or incapable of being within the frontier of the church solely because you either don't want to dox yourself, which, by the way, is one of the dumbest things ever, because you don't want to dox yourself, or you don't want to, or maybe you don't have a blessing, because guess what? Can heretics make points against Orthodoxy? Is that possible? Obviously, they're not going to have a blessing from their priest in order to make an argument. So if somebody within Orthodoxy makes an argument for a certain position within Orthodoxy, why is it now that they need a blessing in order to do that? When we don't say the same thing about heretics, right? Like, obviously heretics have the ability to make arguments. We're going to let them make arguments. Why do we shut out people within Orthodoxy or even catechumens or inquirers saying, oh, you don't have a blessing to talk about this stuff? Like, what do you... I don't get that. I've never gotten that. The people that gatekeep who you can talk to because of the fact that there's a blessing involved, right? Gatekeeping is the weird thing about that entire system. Because there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you need a blessing you should have a blessing. But yes, it's cultish in a sense. It's strange. Oh no, you want to have a conversation with me? You want me to hear anything about what you're saying? Dox yourself. Give me your priest. What? Does my opinion hold more weight now?
174 super chatted $5. Bet I added you on Discord.
Let me make it simple like this. If I have an opinion that you think you need to tell my priest about. So you say, I want you to give me your spiritual father. I want to know that you have a blessing for apologetics. And then I don't give that information. Is what I said now immediately thrown away? If so, you're being intellectually dishonest. Automatically. Because you're assuming that my opinion is based off of personal credulity. That's a personal credulity fallacy. Now, anybody ever heard that one before? You think that I'm the first person to invent an argument? I'm not using my own credulity to make an argument on any regard. I don't have to give you shit, and guess what? My argument still stands. That's why it's a fallacy to act like that. And to assume that your arguments mean nothing if you don't dox yourself. That's the funny part.
But I don't believe that your priest exists, so I'm right.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's funny? Even if my priest didn't exist, my argument still stands. That's the best part. It still actually stands. Even if my priest didn't exist. Even if I lied about who my priest was. Even if I even if I lied about being Orthodox. Guess what?
Yeah, I mean, you can.
My argument still stands.
You can make true statements, and it wasn't like a defeater in this situation. Can I breathe without a blessing?
Right.
No, you can. Sorry.
The whole mentality recently of, oh, you need a blessing to do X. You need a blessing to do this. You need a blessing to do this. This is, like, ridiculous. Because, one, I could just be legalist. Mm-hmm. I could just be a full-fledged legalist and just say, Show me a single canon or show me a single church father all the way up until like the 20th century even that recommends or requires this practice, that says in order to preach the gospel you have to be blessed by your priest to preach the gospel. Tell me one person, one church father that says this, because guess what? That's not a thing. That's never been a thing. St. John Chrysostom literally said that as soon as you read the word, to go and preach it. Defending an Orthodox doctrine is part of that understanding, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, I believe that there are some people that need to be told by their priest to shut up and stop talking. Now, granted, that's for the priest to do, not for a goober online to do. Okay? I'm going to continue.
It's very simple. It is not a difficult thing to figure out.
It is a very difficult thing to figure out, actually, because people are hypocrites when it comes to this.
So, we all know who you're talking about. You're saying, oh, well, people like Sig, who are teaching, and they're a new convert. Sig's been baptized since, Pascha 2025? That's what several people that know him have said. And it certainly hasn't been more than 2 years, because we all know Sig is a very new convert. But then you go ahead and...
He's been arguing for Orthodoxy for years, though. Like, he's been arguing the exact same stuff for years. So, again, if he makes an argument, even if he wasn't Orthodox at all, if he makes an argument, right, even if we were to, just for the sake of the argument, let's just say Sig isn't even Orthodox. Let's say he's inquiring Roman Catholicism and Orthodoxy. Okay? Like he used to be, because he used to be in that camp. Sig used to be in the camp of being an inquirer of both.
Yeah.
Right? If he would have been making the argument that Orthodoxy teaches blah, 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 back when he was simply inquiring and saying, oh, I'm indifferent to both, people would have to defend the accusations, right? People would eventually defend the accusations. They'd be like, no, I don't believe that Orthodoxy teaches this. I'm an apologist for Orthodoxy. I don't believe this, blah, 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 blah. Why did people grant more responses to heretics than people that are within the church that are in error? If there's somebody in error. I'm not even saying Sig's in error, but I'm saying in general, like, because obviously there's people that think he's in error. There's people that think people like Nikolai are in error. There's people that think that Jay's in error. There's people that think that a bunch of people on Twitter are in error, like a bunch of the like the Latinizer crowd, whatever. Right? There's plenty of people that think a bunch of people are in error in Orthodoxy. Who?
It's the Saint Bonaventure Blazer. Who does this guy think he is? But dude. Oh my gosh.
Anybody that knows how busy priests are knows that there's no time for them to police your actions. Yeah, I agree. So relying on your priest to basically know about every single thing that you say online is a failure waiting to happen as well.
Yeah, it's very stupid, and we shouldn't.
Here's what's gonna happen, right? If I were to give somebody my spiritual father, which I've given Jay my spiritual father. I've told him who he is. I've told him he can contact him anytime. Right? But I'm always making content, and he's always, I don't know, being a priest. So he's not going to be caught up with my latest drama and my latest lecture. Like, just because of the fact that something like that is happening. Or just because of the fact that even if I have a blessing, guess what? It doesn't matter, because I guarantee you, no matter who you are, even if you have a priest, they're probably not watching all your shit, bro. They're probably not. You're a goober, and you're honestly, you have an ego, and you're prideful if you genuinely think that a priest is watching everything you put on the internet. That's hilarious. And that's just not the case.
But I have a blessing, so like what I say, therefore true. Or in any case, like I'm a better apologist, or I should be doing apologetics and not you because of this. Like, obscure blessing is idiotic because it doesn't give you authority. It's just an approval at most.
Yeah, priests have a more important job, like saving people's souls. Yes.
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
what I'm referring
You're
to.
probably referencing the fact that Alex Soren is a relatively new convert. He's going in on.
No, okay. So first off, I did this post like this on purpose because there was a ton of different situations that I had seen over time. This has nothing to do with Alex Soren, okay? This has nothing to do with him personally. This has nothing to do with Cleve. This has nothing to do with Sig. This has nothing to do with any of these people in specifics. I'm saying that people that are on both sides of this have an issue when it comes to this because of the fact, and so this is just a projection. Like, I did not reference Alex Soren. I did not reference Cleve. I did not reference Sig. I did not specifically reference these people. I said that this is something that people do all the time. It's simple as that. And that people need to conversate about it. But then he's got clairvoyance or something. Yes, this is going to be a YouTube video. This is like clairvoyance or some shit, dude. Like he just knows he knows my intention. Like he's an ex-lord, bro. Like he knows my intentions.
I think 2.5. 3.
And it's because of the fact that me and him have gotten into a couple things every once in a while where I didn't like his demeanor towards something and I called him out. Like, so we've gotten into a couple little tiny beefs. So I can tell that he's roping me into this controversy that I purposely try to stay in the middle of on purpose.
Years now. But you know what the key difference is? Is that Alex Soren invites his spiritual father onto his channel within the first, 2 or 3 weeks of his channel being active.
Oh, interesting. Let's look at something real quick. Shall we? Let's look at Sig's channel. You said within the first couple of weeks of the channel existing, right? Let's go to his lives. Okay. Let's scroll all the way to the bottom here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I accidentally just put it back to the top. Hold on. Where is it at? I remember seeing this the other day. Oh, here we go. So he started uploading a year ago, right? Within the same year. Oh! He starts talking with Father Mikhail, who, by the way, is a part of his community.
And that Christ was obedient
Father Mikhail Balika, right?
to his parents. Oh. This is why it is written that he...
This was very soon after he started his official online apologetic stuff, right? Like, this is something he did too. So,
his spiritual father, a monastic, a Romanian priest.
Sig has a literal Athonite, by the way, who's checking him at all times. Just wanted to put that out there too.
Okay. Do you see the difference? So here, I'll ask you, Bryce.
Oh, let's check something out as well. Actually, we talk about backing. Okay, we'll talk about backing, right? We have. Let me go ahead and put this in here. So I don't want to completely just show here. Actually, I took a picture of this earlier for this exact same reason. Because I knew stuff like this was going to get brought up. So I thought I'd go. All right. There are multiple priests that are in his server, that are in his apologetics server. Okay. We have Father Ambrose, who's a priest in Rokor. We have Father Deacon Seth, who is somebody who is also in Rokor that supports his content. Okay. We have Father Chris, right, who is also clergy in Rokor. Okay. And then obviously, like I said earlier, we have a conversation with Father Mikhail that he did literally at the beginning of his conversion. Now, as well as the types of things that Sig talks about, we have multiple people that are on Twitter that consistently talk about these things. Okay? One of the biggest ones that are also backing the type of stuff that Sig talks about is Father John Boddicker, who consistently actually talks about this type of stuff. The type of stuff that people call him an issue for. He has multiple pieces. He had multiple people within the clergy. All right, multiple subdeacons, multiple priests, multiple deacons, father deacon. Right, multiple people that back him. As well as the fact that there's an entire YouTube channel, hilariously enough, that actually talks about this stuff. If you guys have ever seen it, it's called Western Orthodoxy, right, or Orthodoxy in the West. Let me see if I can see it here. Yeah, the Orthodox West. This channel's fantastic. And it pretty much, like for example, this video right here, The Place of St. Augustine in the Orthodox Church with Father David McCready.
Scholarship has come to
This is a 40-minute video of a valid Orthodox priest, by the way, arguing everything that all of the people that people call Latinizers, arguing for their position about Augustine, arguing for the position of Augustine that a lot of people would call Latinizing. Right? Like there's plenty of this stuff. So if the criteria simply is he has clergy backing, you still have not gotten rid of Sig's capability of actually being
Who is your
part of the
father?
apologetic
Is he
sphere
giving
and
you
somebody that should be
permission
listened
to.
to.
Be on doing the things that you're doing? Who is your spiritual father, and is he giving you permission to be on doing the things that you're doing?
Here we go. Yeah. So again, I'm going to show you my response to this, because I already said that, like, if he wanted to actually have a conversation of some kind, that I would give him that information if he wanted to dox me and really take that time out of his day to do that.
Come on. Like,
Come on.
What universe are we living in that it's that difficult to navigate who you should be listening to and who you shouldn't?
Well, this simplistic method of navigating makes it to where Sig is still actually somebody that should be listened to. So again, I'm not really seeing... It's obviously not that simple, considering that you think that people shouldn't listen to him, right?
Faith, that's the rule. That's simple.
That's simple, brother. Yep, exactly. That's simple. All right. Let me go ahead and show this now. Okay. So then I responded with this. I said, I love how you think that you have clairvoyance towards what I was referencing. I was actually referencing both sides of this issue. I have publicly given out my spiritual father multiple times in conversation, including to Jay when I had a discussion with him, but I prefer to not just toss it onto the internet where literally the entire internet is capable of seeing it at once. But if somebody wants to have that kind of conversation with my spiritual father, I wouldn't have an issue with reaching out and setting that up privately. Cool. Sig has multiple streams, by the way, with clergy, and the clergy that back his content. Should we listen to him now that we have that criteria, or are you just going to say he's lying? That goes for anybody. Do you publicly just throw your spiritual father out on X? If so, go ahead, since you love to ask people that question. But the fact that you felt like you needed to make a whole video on it is pretty wild.
At Mexidox super chatted $9.99. So true. Give me your parish details so I can get a bunch of people to spam blast emails like the liberals we are.
Yeah, I know. It's cancel culture. It's hilarious. It's feminine, honestly. In my opinion, it's very effeminate to act in that manner. Because people think they actually have the authority to basically tell priests that somebody is teaching wrong. That's the funny thing, is thinking that people can just do that.
I think the weird part too is, like, if these two people that are disagreeing with each other both have blessings from their priests and publicly share information, then how is this guy, by what he is given as to be like valid or verifiable as someone to be authoritative on the internet, posting about orthodoxy, how are they going to be valid over the other? This is really stupid.
Yeah. The stuff is just, it's so ridiculous. Now, this is the response that he made to the specific thing. He said, also, you're being vague. If you're going to make accusations, just say who it is and what the problem is. So, if you have a problem, just scandalize them. Like, come on, dude. Just publicly scandalize them. I mean, what's the problem with that, brother? I mean, now what? Like, what are we... You're recommending that I scandalize people. I'm simply bringing up a generic issue so that people could possibly discuss it, and then people could naturally walk away from it through discussion. But he wants me to scandalize people. Like I'm just somebody who just be scandalizing Orthodox Christians like that. And everybody on both sides of this equation knows that I'm not the type of guy to do things in that manner. I'm just not. I don't care for any of that. I think scandalizing is shitty. I think that doxing is shitty. I think all of that kind of stuff is feminine, especially. Very effeminate to do. To think that you can work from emotions like that and basically mob, right? Mob raid somebody's parish with emails. That's just liberal shit, dude. Like, are we serious? And there's people that do that, that have done that in the past, and it's quite ridiculous. So anyway, I haven't actually watched this one yet. So
I just don't understand how you are making this so difficult. First off, your critique of you felt the need to make a video, dude. This is a feature on X, like it's called the reaction feature. You press the button when you repost and it says react.
yeah, I know, but you wanted people to see your face, and you wanted to do like a video thing instead of just like simply responding. I mean, it shows that you wanted to like make this a bigger deal than it really was. That's the funny thing, is that everyone else just said, yeah, this is a thing that happens. Yeah, this is a problem. And you had to make a response video basically saying that I'm bad, or that I have a dumb opinion, right? But with a video, like thinking you're like freaking like a reaction YouTuber or something.
It takes about 20 seconds to put that up, and it's actually much quicker, and I can get more information out in 2 minutes and 20 seconds rather than just simply typing out a long thread. So that's the first thing. Second,
well, I mean, that just makes it to where 90% of your response ends up being yap, considering that your video is 2 minutes and 20 seconds long, and 30 seconds of it was not substantive at all. So that's usually why I would recommend just sending messages, because it prevents you from doing that stupid shit you just did.
Again, the critiques of Sig is that Sig and his crew, who he defends,
his cult, Sig's cult,
is the problem. And also, Sig's just wrong. I mean, he's just wrong.
On what? On what? What has... show me a video of him being incorrect on certain topics. I mean, like, at the end of the day, sure, I think that there's some things that me and him have disagreed on, right, in the past. I think there's things that me and him have disagreed on. But when you say he's, like, wrong in the sense that you're trying to make it, right, like... I mean, is this Miko? Is this a Miko thing? All right. Is this what it is? Is this because of the fact... This is going to lead back to Miko. I guarantee it. Just wait. Yeah, we're going to see this. Granted, I have an opinion on all that.
And he's been corrected by many clergy, and many clergy have told him that he needs to stop.
Interesting. What? Wait.
And he's been corrected by many clergy, and many clergy have told him that he needs to stop.
Okay, other than Father Deacon Ananias, name one. Because I've never heard a single person other than... I don't even know if Father Deacon Ananias has done that. I'm just assuming that's who you're referring to, because that's who people like Nikolai always refer to. Who? Father Stephen DeYoung? Is that it? I haven't heard him say anything. Is it Father Deacon Ananias? I mean, who is it? Like, is he going to reference it?
With some of these things. Again, just having a...
No, he's going to blow right past it and just say clergy have told him to stop. Who told... Yeah, exactly. Father Deacon Dorotheos publicly supports Sig. Publicly supports the things that he says, by the way. On Twitter, on YouTube, and Discord. Has any clergy... I want to know a singular clergy who has reached out to Father Dorotheos or Sig and have told him that he's wrong and he needs to stop.
Couple clergy on your channel occasionally to talk about very specific topics.
What? See, now he's downplaying the clergy on Sig's channel. You see that? You see how he's downplaying the credulity of when Sig has clergy on his channel? That's so hilarious that's done. That is funny. Because when you look at the videos, right, if you look at the videos of other people, anybody who has clergy on their channel, they don't get to talk about the giant broad spectrum. I mean, what do you want me to do, dude? Do you want me to bring on a priest and just be like, do you think PSA is Orthodox? What do you think about original sin?
Oh my gosh.
What What do you think about St. Augustine?
WW thumbnail idea.
What do you think about energetic procession?
New profile picture.
What do you think about Sacred Heart? You know, like there's just a bunch of what do you want people to do? Is that all you want people to ask priests? You want people to come on your stream and then basically just be like, "What side are you on the online problem?"
They didn't got time for all that, bruh.
Wow. Yeah, it's like and Noel, that's a good point. It's funny because a lot of people think that priests are all theologians.
Thanks.
Tons of priests, like they don't study that shit. They don't. Because guess what? That's not their job. That's not their job. It like, brother. Holy shit, man.
Oh, what's your thoughts on the formal distinction of John Duns Scotus father?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah.
Dude, I remember when I was like an early Catholic, I used to ask my priest theological questions. He's like, and he's Indian, so it just made it so much more funny. His reaction is just like, "Oh, Isaiah, you are so smart."
Yeah, dude. Like freaking my priest, like
He does it.
my priest is like freaking in his 90s, bro. Like I asked him a question like probably 7 or 8 months ago ish, where I said, "Father, do you think that unbaptized babies go to hell?" You know what he said? That's probably a mystery, man. And you know what I said? I said respect. He basically was just like, we don't know.
Dude, like 2 years ago.
and at the end of the day, I fully took that shit. I was like, all right, fair enough. I didn't freaking go and just try to find some random dude to tell me that, right? But I did ask that question because I saw a pamphlet that was in my church that kind of like sounded universalist to a degree. And I wanted to ask my priest. I was like, does this sound good? I asked my priest about trans sub, and he said, just go with the councils say. Yeah, I mean, my priest pretty much said the same thing to me about multiple different topics. He says, well, what do the fathers say? He doesn't say, what does Dr. David Bradshaw say?
Yeah, I mean,
he said, what do the fathers say? And then I'll be like, well, this is what I read from some of the fathers. And then he'd be like, there you go. Like that. He did that with me with multiple topics. I'd be like, oh, well, it's obvious that they teach this because I see this. And he's like, well, there you go.
Dude, I remember 2 years ago when I was like calling with my priest and I was talking to him about opposition and relation, and this dude just like did not, just no response.
No, he basically was just like, yeah, I'm not.
No.
They
go on mission. They studied how to process the divine liturgy.
Yeah, Father Simon, do you believe in a major real distinction? Yeah, he'd just be like, what? What the hell is that? Or it's a priest, so what the heck is that? I mean, like, brother.
That's the thing, though. Like, if you're an apologist, you're going to study something completely different.
You're going to study niche shit. You're going to study niche shit that has nothing to do with, at the end of the day, the spiritual life of you in the church. The priest studies the spiritual life of the church.
Exactly.
He's not going to study the major real distinction or the SCOTUS formal distinction. He's not going to study that. Get his on here. My priest? I would love to, but he doesn't do stuff like that, man. He doesn't go on the internet. Doesn't go on the internet very much.
What do the scholars say?
Yeah, exactly. What do the modern scholars say about this topic? Like, but no, priests literally never say that. A priest will literally never say, oh, what do the modern scholars and the people on Twitter say? What do they say? No, they say, read the fathers. See what they say about the topic. That's what they always recommend somebody, whether or not that they're a layman or an apologist or any of that kind of stuff. They don't recommend a YouTuber unless you guys have people that recommend YouTubers, which, I mean, okay, cool. I mean, if that's how that works. Like I've been recommended a couple YouTubers through some of the people that were Orthodox before me within my church, but that's kind of different, right? Than a church, than my priest recommending somebody. Yeah, Father, have you read Eugenius Vulgaris's De Deo Uno, where he says that you can see the energies with bodily eyes? What do you think? My priest is gonna have a heart attack if I say that shit out loud.
Father, do you
You
think
understand,
Occam is based?
Like, my priest is probably gonna have a stroke if I were to say that in a single sentence. Like, he'd just be like, "What?"
Yeah, you can kind of tell when they're passionate about a topic or not too.
Yeah.
Like if you bring up spirituality, my priest loves Saint Francis de Sales, or like post Reformation saints. But like if I brought up like, hey Father, do you think William of Ockham has a good conception on the theory of universals, in combination with the Council of Chalcedon? He's gonna pass out.
Yeah. Like, he's
That's
just gonna
not-
be like, "Bro, what are you a person that's talking to me right now?" Like, that's just gonna be the response.
What language
Like,
is that?
Be like, "Are you talking to me?"
Okay, I can get a dozen clergy to come onto my channel tomorrow.
A dozen clergy tomorrow. I've got all the
Yeah.
clergy in my back pocket, baby.
So tough, dude. You're so tough.
I got 30 bishops. I got freaking 4 patriarchs in my back pocket. I could get them on my stream tomorrow. I could have an ecumenical council on my YouTube channel.
$5. No, Nikolai, not your priest. It would be cool if you got your priest on, though.
Yeah, dude. Freaking, dude, I got so much. I got clergy and shit. We
Dude.
got clergy and shit. I could
This is
do an ecumenical council on Zoom right now. All right?
This is the equivalent
I
of
can
saying
host
like,
a whole
show
council.
me a band. Show me a band. Show me a priest.
Yeah, show me your priest. Show me your priest. Show me your prayer rope. Show me your priest. Hey, yo. Show me your priest right now.
Where you at? Where
Dude,
you
it's
at?
like the freaking, like the video of Jake Gyllenhaal, like freaking showing his weapons and stuff like that. And like
Yes, exactly.
flexing his weapons. Like, that's basically what it is. It's just like freaking, hey, yo, but I got this bishop in my pocket. I got this priest in my back pocket. I got this priest in my back pocket. Right? Oh, and by the way, patriarch coded. Look at this. I got Patriarch Bartholomew. He'll hop on stream tomorrow. No, yeah, whatever,
Yes.
bro.
He's good. Yeah, his
W video idea? Exactly, bro.
That
I
is.
need to get 5 patriarchs on my channel all at once. It'd be epic.
But I have a prayer corner and you don't, so I'm right.
I'm gonna do a mock Zoom ecumenical council. It's gonna be epic.
By just simply sending out emails and saying, hey, can you come in and talk about this issue? I have a channel of about 3,000 people. And they'll say, okay, sure. Yeah, how many of
Yeah, you don't think that Sig's done the same thing? Because he
them
has.
are reviewing your content? Right? How many are reviewing your
You don't think that all of the people, like the 3+ priests that are in his server, have not reviewed Sig's content? They actively moderate it.
Why would they be in there? Have they not? You know?
They actively moderate his server, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
holding you accountable? There's a big
So are they all suffering, heresy? Because the stuff that you say that Sig teaches is heresy.
difference between having a guest on when you're doing apologetics and reviewing a content. Now, let's contrast this with, I know you guys will go there, Cleave to Antiquity. Cleave is not doing teaching apologetics. He is simply inviting clergy on to express the Orthodox view.
That's not true. He makes shorts all of the time where he actually condemns people for being Latinizers or condemns Orthodox Christians while he's a catechumen. Which, again, I personally like Cleave. I've actually done a stream with Cleave. I think Cleave is really cool. But trying to say that Cleave is entirely just a spectator is not correct. Okay? Like, again, I personally like Cleave. But saying that he's not in some way, shape, or form giving an opinion about Orthodoxy it's just not true. That's just not the case. That's not true. Okay? Thinking that you know the difference between a Latinizer and a non-Latinizer, that is giving the Orthodox position. Thinking you have the Orthodox position. All right? Again, I'm not condemning Cleave because I think Cleave is a great guy. I think he's smart as hell too. But when it comes to like trying to paint as if like he doesn't try to represent the Orthodox position, that's not true. That's just not true. Like, I mean, he is genuinely giving his opinion about the Orthodox Church and the people within it. So, like, granted, you know what's funny though is that for my position, I don't care. Do what you want, bro. Because from my position, that's the way it works. Right? And in my position, anybody has the free right to try to say what they want about Orthodox, all right? About Orthodoxy. And whether or not you're inquiring, whether you're a catechumen, whether you're baptized, whether you're a heretic, somebody who's not even in the church at all, whether you're a different church, different denomination, people have the ability to talk about Orthodoxy and what they think Orthodoxy teaches. But guess what? The people that actually know the truth will be able to actually allow the truth to prevail because they are somebody who actually knows the truth and they can preach it. They can show it. They can argue for it like any other apologetic goes.
SIG has an entire Discord and an entire online community that he's built around himself. He's even said that he is the guy that's been baptized just over a year. He's the one that has taught Miko, one of the most infamous Latinizers, who goes around calling other clergy like Father Stephen DeYoung, Father Peter Hears, Father Joseph Lucas, and more, Father Paniotes. He calls all of them modernist heretics.
Okay, I'm going to use this example, and no, I'm not calling Miko a heretic. I don't think that Miko's genuinely in heresy. I disagree with the way that he goes about things online, and I don't like the furry shit, okay? I will say both of those things. I don't like either of those things. I think they're goofy, and I think that he is way too militant, all right? I'm going to say that publicly. Now, I will also say this, okay? This analogy that I'm going to give is not univocal. Oh, Mr. Jax for $2. Thank you very much. He says, okay, third try. Bryce, my boy, get Nikolai on my WGA. I can't say that word. If I say it, it'll think it's the N-word. I mean, like, if he wanted to come on, he's more than welcome to. He apparently is subscribed to me, I think, on YouTube. If somebody wanted to message him or something like that, I'm not doing that myself because I don't really care to. But if he wanted to come on and talk, I'd figure it out. I don't even know if he has TikTok. But also, he usually only comes on his own channel. So that's kind of the reason why I didn't reach out for something like that, because he doesn't usually go on other people's channels. So I'm just kind of respecting the way that he normally does things. And no, I'm not saying he's running or anything like that. It's just I know that's how he usually does things. Okay. But anyway, even though that Miko does all of those things, he's extremely militant. He likes to bait people. He likes to rage bait, troll. I don't like the furry shit, right? Like all of this kind of stuff, I can publicly sit here and say, yeah, that's goofy. I don't support those kind of things, right? Even the probably one of the most hardcore Latinizers that exists, his name is Orthodox Ensign. He even denounced Miko for that. I mean, that shit's hilarious. Sorry, like that shit's funny. But at the same time, right? Like, here's my analogy. And please don't take this the wrong way. Again, like I just said, I told you what I don't think Miko's a heretic. Okay, I think that sometimes he's wrong with the way that he goes about things. Cool. All right, but I don't think he's a heretic. But this is the analogy, and people are going to totally get with this. Akindinos in the 1400s. He was a disciple of St. Gregory Palamas. Would you guys agree? Do you think that excuse works? Is it St. Gregory Palamas' fault that Akindinos was so militant on certain topics? No. Just because, right? So I'll put it into another topic as well. We have Jay Dyer, right? There are some people that say that they learned something from Jay that I know for a fact they didn't learn from Jay. Okay? Like, for example, there are some people, like I talked to Jay about, like, original sin. I told him how I felt about that entire topic and what we hold to. And I even talked about, like, the way that Augustine mentions it. I talked about against Julian, all these types of things. And it was fine. Right? When we argue for things in a very specific way, there's usually not a problem. Okay? But then there are people that genuinely think that what I teach is like completely heretical, that follow him. Isn't that weird? Why is that? Is it because Jay's wrong and the Dyerites are actually higher than the Dyerites themselves? Higher than Dyer, or what? Do they know more than Dyer and that Dyer is just conceding? No, I think that Dyer knows what he's talking about. He's been doing it for 20 years. So I think when I genuinely explain something to him, and then he says, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. That he actually understands. But there's genuinely people that say that they follow him, right? That say that they follow Jay. And then they say the most crazy shit I've ever heard in my life. And then I look at him, I'm like, dude, that's not even what Jay says. Like, you're batshit for that. We don't affirm original sin. The fuck you mean you don't affirm original sin? You're a Pelagian. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, we just believe that we only suffer the consequences exterior to ourselves. What? There's nothing within you at all? Like, brother, like, you're Julian. You're literally Julian. You're Pelagius. Tell me one way. Tell me how you're not.
That is not Augustine build.
Tell me how you're not. Tell me why the Sixth Ecumenical Synod actually completely dogmatized the works against Julian. Why? Because it mattered. Because that stuff is serious. But then when you talk with Jay about stuff like this, it's not that crazy. Because when you talk with Jay about it, and then you actually have a little conversation that doesn't get nasty, and then the clarification happens.
Yeah, and I mean it even applies in history in like the opposite way, like with the Origenists and people related to Origen, like Rufinus and Jerome even. They don't really represent the person that they came from.
Exactly. So again, we can talk about the general behavior of people like Miko. Sometimes I agree, he's a bit much. He does a lot. He baits a lot. He's mean sometimes. Whatever, dude. But just because something like that happens, and just because maybe Miko has his own problems, doesn't mean that then therefore Sig, right, is the guy you have to point at. Because of the fact that he taught him what he knows.
Why should we trust the ability for Sig, for example, to be consistent with these things? The fruits speak, Bryce.
The fruits speak, absolutely. Let me pull up a couple clips of you screaming the N-word at people. You freaking goober. The fruits do speak. You're correct. And Sig is 1,000 times more respectable than you've ever been online. Ever. You're prideful. You say the craziest words I've ever heard in my life. And you crash out pretty much every stream. So, hell, you talking about fruits, bro? Like, are we serious? Like, dude, and this isn't even me, like, trying to make an argumentation against, like, freaking quote-unquote Dyerites, because I think Nikolai is, like, his own category of people that, and that's why I addressed it. Because, like, this is just different. This is a completely different thing. All right? This isn't Dyer versus Latinizers. This isn't a thing. It's not a thing, okay? Because I've had conversations with Dyer. I'm spreading that shit every day. That Dyer has no issue with me, and multiple people have privately messaged Dyer, Jay himself, and said, "Hey, I've been watching this guy called Bryce J, right?" And then like they said, "What do you think?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, he's got great stuff." But then I got people in Discord servers sitting there calling me Latinizer scum. So, who's the one that has the opinions? Who's the one that's got the right phronema? Who's got the phronema? Is Jay a Latinizer?
Mexodox chatted $9.99. Korean captivity.
Jay Dyer's a Latinizer, apparently. According to, like, the type of people that attempt to condemn me for saying that exact shit. Now, granted, I need to use the bathroom real quick, and then I'm just going to open the panel up to anybody who wants to come up. But that's all I wanted to get at. I wanted to address this stuff because it had been lingering on my Twitter today. So I'll be right back.
Ave Maria, gratia plena Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. We declare him excommunicate and anathema.
Okay. So now that I got all that stuff out of the way.
Oh, yeah, we gotta start dragging him on up here. Latin is jarring. You don't like Latin?
All right.
I gotta start praying in Greek.
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, going on, man?
Not much. The thing is, I was wondering if I could run 2 questions by you.
Sure.
I think I'll keep it kind of brief. The first would be like this.
Oh, sorry, 1 second.
You're good.
At Mr. Jax79 super chatted $5, Nikolai said he had no problem with you calling in lol.
How did I know that he was going to somehow turn it on me and say that I should call into his show? I was addressing this as a video. I don't care to have a conversation with him. If he wants to have a conversation, I'll let him up. Otherwise, I don't care to, because what's the point? I'm not gonna entertain his channel. I don't really care to do that. Sorry. I'm putting it behind me now, unless he decides to come up. What's up?
Hey, so the first question would be this: and the thing is, I'm an agnostic, just for reference, you know.
Sure.
But and I'm not against Orthodoxy at all. Actually, out of all the religions, I think Eastern Orthodoxy is like probably my most. It's the most intriguing, you know.
Holy based.
Well, I'm just gonna ask you this. Based. Yeah. If God is all knowing, right?
Sure.
And he articulates a message, and the message is not well received, as in like in totality. Does that diminish him from being all knowing? Because like he should be able to tailor that message in a way which it should be well received.
No. Because God's intention to provide the message from eternity was with the intention of providing that knowledge from somebody's natural capacities, not from the intention of their it's what's called gnomic will or gnomic understanding, which is basically their fallen nature or their fallen understanding, right? So we believe that human beings, right, they're affected by the fall, by possessing things or stains within their nature, right, that allow us to possibly, for example, be deceived, right?
Wait, hold on. Stains within their nature?
Within their nature, as in like naturally we are deceived now due to the fall. So like if we're not baptized,
I thought that was more Latin.
What?
I thought that was more of like a Latin take, like with
No.
that like a sinful nature type of situation.
No, we believe in original sin. I don't have an issue with that.
Well, I thought it was an inherited sin.
I mean, it's inherited.
Like the Orthodox Church.
It's ancestral. It's original. It's all of those.
Well,
things.
it's like there's like the Augustinian view, right, where it's like you have like the human beings are now born with a broken nature.
Yeah,
but then now it's. Like,
you're
the Orthodox.
Even the Orthodox people that are more liberal on this side would say that we still inherit the sin of Adam, right? The stain of Adam.
The effects, I thought, no.
The effects, right? But this would also come with liability, right? Which most people would generally agree with, that we assume the liability of Adam right? Or the
I see
suffering
what
of
you're saying.
Adam from this. So that's why I'm saying it's better to just say that we hold to original sin, because of the fact that if you say, no, we reject original sin, in the patristic era, if you say something like that, you're genuinely saying you're Pelagian, which is verbatimly, that's verbatimly a heretical position in the first millennia. Ksenia said everyone that's been watching this stream is dying laughing right now. I know. How is it directly correlated to the shit I was just talking about internally with drama? That's so funny. I feel like I feel like you're a psyop to come up here and get me to continue talking about it, bro.
No, wallahi, I'm not. No, man. Wallahi, I'm not a psyop yet.
Okay.
The thing is, I'm telling you, I'm like decently well read on Orthodoxy. Like now, I'm like a layman, obviously, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But, like, that's what I thought, you know. But okay, so from that, let me ask you this now. Here's another, like, contingency I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fall of Adam, sin and evil enter the world, the created order, let's say, like, to be, like, you know, like, to not mince words here.
Yeah.
The question is this: why was the devil given dominion over this created order, like, through evil? Like, why was that even allowed to happen to begin with? Like, when Adam broke communion with God, or evil would now come into this created order, you know?
I'll put it like this: did God so in the Bible, would you say that God allows people to worship other deities, but then obviously doesn't like it?
Yeah.
Does he give those gods dominion over those people? Allowing them to have power over the people is simply what dominion is, right?
Yeah. Does he give dominion to the other gods in the Bible?
In the sense that basically he allows these people to suffer from the pain that these other gods give them, right? Because they want this God. They want this God. God gives us free will to worship what we want. You want to worship this false god? Go right ahead. He has full power over you. Think of it like that. Same thing with the same thing works with the devil.
Yeah, but like not tangible. Yeah. Okay. How so though? But isn't the devil the cause of, like, if there's how do I say this for TikTok? If there's like a mass schmurder,
sure,
it's like the devil enticed this person to do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's tangible dominion, right? Like, that's not just like some guy worshiping Zeus and like and crashing out.
Well, I mean, like it would depend on the general morals being taught by whatever this deity is, but like if you're talking about like somebody who goes into a mass murder because that's just the worldview they have officially succumbed to, that is them basically exercising the dominion of the devil over them, right? And that's something that God allows to happen because of the fact that when I say that God allows free will, I'm not joking when I say that. God truly does allow people to do abominable things. Otherwise, free will means nothing, because if God stepped in every single time that something bad was about to happen, then God doesn't, technically speaking, actually give us free will. He doesn't allow people to, because like technically, when you think of it like this, on the grand scheme, on the transcendent scheme of this God that far surpasses our understanding, right?
Sure.
Murdering a person, ontologically speaking, is pretty much the same thing as you not worshiping God. Like when it comes to betrayal, it's the same ontological level. It both happens within the created order. It's both a betrayal of God's will. So it's on the same level to a transcendent being.
But you would hold that in heaven we have free will, right?
Sure. Well,
is that the Orthodox position?
Kind of. I would say that we have free will, but there's nothing.
Like,
there's nothing within the. When we say that we have free will in heaven, it's more like saying that we have the free will to choose many goods. Right? It's
but
not.
Why couldn't
it's
that
not.
have been the case here?
Huh?
Like, that's my problem. Like, why could that not have been the case here in this lifetime, in this created order? We have the free will of choosing between many goods.
Yeah, due to the. Well, I mean, we currently do have the choice to choose many goods, but we currently also have the ability to choose things that aren't good. In the end, there won't be any bad things left.
But why do we not have the ability to choose what's bad? But in heaven, we don't have that ability. That's my question.
Because we introduce death and badness, right, in general, to the created order. God did not put bad things onto the earth. God allowed bad things to enter the earth by the free will of human beings, which then allowed us to basically commune with these bad things until God came and fixed right, these problems by defeating death by death.
Yeah,
right? So he told Adam, literally in the very beginning of Genesis, as soon as they ate from the tree, he immediately gave them a prophecy of the fact that he's going to fix this. He's going to fix this. He didn't say, you have to figure this shit out. He says, I'm going to fix this.
And
Right,
something,
But here's, yeah, I'll
uh,
let you go, as you.
something of importance, because I don't know if you're trying to ask the question of why God doesn't create people in this state, or whether or not it's capable in heaven. But
It's more why not. It's more of why not whether it's capable.
what do you mean by why not, though? I mean, like, could you elaborate
Like
kind
my
of?
question, yeah, like the elaboration would be this. It's like, okay, mess it on. Like, how do I say? Okay, well, in this life, right? Like, I'm gonna have to use the cliche example. It's like, okay, let's say there's a baby, or a baby miscarries or whatever the heck, and this sort of stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, the church's position. Actually, I don't know the Eastern Orthodox Church position, but I'm just gonna assume because this is the Latin's position, so I'm gonna assume there's a crossover on this take at least. Is that is because in some part due to the fallen nature of man or the fall or the effects of the fall is that person was miscarried and etc. and this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
But like for me, right? It's like if
that's
you were
entropy
to
of the
give
cosmos.
sure entropy of
from
the
that.
cosmos, exactly. Sure. So if God gave me, right, like the guy speaking right now, if he gave me dominion to interject and to be like, listen, man, all you have to do is like snap your fingers and this person doesn't get miscarried and nothing, there's no strings attached. I feel like I would snap my fingers with 10 times out of 10. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, heaven is kind of like that, but even on a grander scale, where it's like people won't even have the thought to go and murder or do all this sort of oppression to other people and this sort of stuff, right? So my question is, why not have it now? Like, what was the point? Like, and if God is all knowing, why did He
Well,
not see that man was gonna fall and break communion with Him, and evil is gonna seep in? Like, why didn't He?
well, I mean,
Why didn't He account for that in the grand scheme of things?
the idea is that God does know things and their effects, but the effects can be or bring about some good. Like the fall, had the fall not been a result, many births wouldn't have happened, and many people wouldn't have actually come to God or been able to come to God as a result of only Adam and Eve being in the garden forever, right? Because they were being maintained by God until they had participated and ate the fruit, right? So there are greater expectancies in certain things happening that God does allow. Like if some person, as like an example, some Christian person, as a result of the fall, got sick really bad, or someone with their free will decided to injure them greatly, right? And on their deathbed, their final request to their family is, hey, can you guys please go to divine liturgy and talk to the priest? That is my final request to you. And as a result, they pass on, and let's say that they go into heaven and achieve theosis, right? Well, these other people and their family, as a result of this evil or this wrongness, as a result of the fall and free will, they go to this church and attend the divine liturgy and eventually become Christians themselves and are also saved. So there's a product of every given act in accordance to what
Why did it have
happens
to be
that we will.
at the expense of his suffering?
Human beings chose
Like,
to
that's the
basically
question.
learn the
Why
distinction.
there's even salvation to be.
Yeah, human beings decided to basically go on their own
Yeah, you can go, yeah.
accord with the decision of eating from the tree early, right before that they were intended to, because we hold the position that in some way, shape, or form, right, Adam was eventually going to be granted access to the tree of knowledge. The problem is that he was not
Yes.
ready,
Yes.
and so because of that, right, they decided to go on their own volition and learn the distinction between good and evil too early. And because of the fact that they decided to learn this thing too early, they started basically using that as judgment. They started making propositions. They started coming to conclusions based off of this knowledge that they have now acquired. And because of the fact that it was overwhelming and understanding to the created beings, they naturally came to the point where this was what they automatically had came to, right? Because they were separated from God at that point. And so,
I mean,
like,
Dude,
saying,
so
well, go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, you can keep. Like, I'm gonna enter.
Well, that is
like,
the
you can
stain.
finish your point.
That, I mean, like, and it's like
Yeah,
metaphysically, in a
I
sense,
get what
that
you're
is
saying,
the
yeah.
stain, right?
I get what you're
Is the fact that basically naturally you are born, right, in a state of basically thinking nomically, where you're thinking carnally, you're thinking in a sense that's fleshly of
Sure,
origin,
normally,
right?
yeah.
Not
Vapid or whatever.
not divine in origin. You're not thinking in divine matters upon your birth, right? And so you have to
Okay.
actually enter the state of being that way. And God allowed that said thing to happen because that's what the first people wanted. The first people wanted to think in their own sense. They
But I don't
wanted
want to think like that.
Well, of course you don't. That's why you go to church and get baptized.
I see what you're saying. Okay, now here's the question for you. Okay, fair enough. Actually, Isaiah, if you would like to add to that, I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So now my second prong, that was like more the philosophical stuff, you know. I'll try to keep this brief because I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I appreciate it. But the second thing would now be this. The second question is when you look at like biblical scholarship, like it's gonna be again cliche, but like I've like read some Ehrman, like some of his books, and like watched some stuff. Like I don't know. And you look at the dating of the authenticity of the gospel narratives, and actually the authenticity of the Old Testament accounts to begin with, especially the Torah. Or even if you want to go more specific, the Genesis account and the sort of stuff, like just divorce like philosophy from it, like straight up scientifically speaking, like deducing like what we know of sense data and of reality as we know it, right? It's hard. Like, how can you say that the Gospels, like maybe on an ancient scale, they are reliable, like on an ancient, like in comparison to other like Greco-Roman autobiographies, but like. Why would God, if he was to reveal it himself, like why would, like I feel like it's a little finicky. Like had he have just came 100 years later, it would have been more surefire, the reliability of what was narrated and what happened.
Let me ask you a question.
Ask.
You think if Jesus came to Earth right now, that anyone would listen to him?
It depends. I think it depends if is this after he performs
in the
miracles
world in the world of AI, in the world of
Sure. I get what
technology,
you're saying, yeah.
in the world of what we currently have in terms of this current setup, right? It's just the bullshit of today, right?
Sure.
The ease of falling into lust with pornography, all this kind of stuff. You think like think about it. Think about how
I get what you're saying.
yeah, sure.
Everyone's
Lust was probably not easy to deal with back in the first century, but think about it then compared to now.
Yeah, it's
Think
way
about
worse. I
certain
get what you're
types of
saying.
sins compared to now. Would Jesus come at a time at the worst capability of turning to him, or would he come at a time where the most amount of people would accept him to then spread the
what you're
message down the
arguing.
generations?
That's a fair point. But dude, like it's like
That's
the
my
Gospels, man.
argument.
Like
Is that the first century was the opportune
that's
time
not
for him.
terrible. Yeah, that's not a terrible argument. I've not heard that actually. But dude, my thing is just okay. Let's grant that. But it's like the authorship of the Gospels, and I know it's relied upon the church to know like the chain of authorship and this sort of stuff. But it, still, like when you look at like academically, dude, like there have been verses input and taken out and played with and yada yada and this sort of stuff. Like
Even if that was
it's like
the
man,
case,
it seems
I
like a
mean,
hard one.
even if something like that was the case, I'm not granting that, but even if I were to just show that something like that did happen, see, that's the cool thing about Orthodoxy compared to Protestantism.
Yeah,
You could say that to a Protestant all day, and they will genuinely just go, "Oh shit." Well, I mean,
I understand the church's
Right,
epistemology. Like that's
yeah. The
Yeah,
church,
100%.
the actual life of the church is the epistemology in Orthodoxy, right?
I get what you're saying.
I could literally say that Orthodoxy. I could still argue for Orthodoxy being true if the Gospels didn't exist. That's the thing.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, through tradition and stuff.
Right. So that same thing applies. Is that even though that we have the Bible in the sense that we have it now, right?
Like a book, yeah, man.
You still can show, even if the Bible was wiped from this planet, I could still show the Orthodox Church and why it's the case. I could still show it.
But why? Okay, now why? That begs the question: why the Orthodox Church to begin with?
Because
Why believe in God?
because if people can actually tie their tradition and their teachings back to Jesus himself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Through this thing called apostolic succession, which I'm sure you've probably heard before. 'Cause
Sure.
you said you've been
I
looking
do
into
know, yeah.
Orthodoxy. Right? We have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ability
100%.
to show these teachings. And then within the church fathers, I can argue for why the church fathers were Orthodox over Roman Catholic.
Well, yeah,
Right? So like, I
100%,
still have the
agree
ability to
with
argue for that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
Sure.
if the Bible didn't exist, Protestants wouldn't exist. They genuinely
Well, I
wouldn't.
agree with you. Well, my question is this though: why believe the Orthodox Church's recount of tradition and history?
Well, I mean, because if we're talking
I'm
about...
divorcing
if we're
this from a
talking-
Christian paradigm,
Yeah.
like an academic skill.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're talking about true, obviously, like eventually things are going to lead to faith when we talk about supernatural claims, right? But when it comes to the best method for actually accounting for these claims in Orthodoxy, it's the liturgy, right?
Sure.
It's the fact that within the liturgy, the actual like the way that things are taught was passed down from day one of actually practicing it within church, because that you could see that at Pentecost, right? Obviously, this is implying we have the gospel to know that there was a Pentecost, right?
Yes,
But like when it comes to like the general knowledge of like if there was no gospel, people would still be talking about Pentecost. People would talk about these things, right? People would still be mentioning, oh, yeah, I knew this guy named John. He was there during this thing called Pentecost when there was a miracle that happened, right? Like things like that would happen. It would just be from a secondhand account. But these people would be able to tie themselves to the apostles in some way, shape, or form. They'd be like, yeah, I walked around with this guy named John. Yeah, I walked around with this guy named Matthew. They would have to do that. They would have to be like, oh yeah, no, I was with the guy that was with Jesus. I was with the guy that was with blah blah blah. Right? That would be more necessary if there's no gospels.
Sure, but here's my question. I'm like ex-Muslim for reference, you know, and so it's like I studied Islam extensively, like, you know, and so like when looking at like Hadith sciences, if you want to even call it that, it's like Hadith sciences is very circular and finicky, and it's like it's very fallacious.
No, I agree.
But it's like, why is this not the same?
Well,
when Bukhari says that this guy's reliable and Al-Maliki says he's not reliable, but they both, you know what I mean? Like, why is this not fallacious? Like, if I'm to say Saint Polycarp is a reliable student of John who saw and lived and this sort of stuff.
The big thing that Hadith science doesn't pay attention to is consistency. Right, so like Hadith science,
I would agree.
Like Hadith science, like has a view where like basically if a certain person within Bukhari, for example, were to say something that's completely outlandish to another person, if that person's capable of actually showing them that they actually come from Muhammad, their opinion is taken over another, right?
Yeah, sure. Fair
So
enough.
like even so that it doesn't have to be quote unquote consistency. A shit ton of people within the Hadiths could say one thing. But if one guy is capable of actually tying what he said to the Prophet Muhammad, that's obviously going to be the one that's taken, right?
Yeah, it trumps
over a ton of people that all say the same thing, right? In our view, we don't have the issue of showing that there's one random dude in history that says, "Oh no, but I'm actually from John," and then everyone else is against him. That's not right. That's not.
You're saying you're at a more whole scale.
Yeah, everything is much more holistic, right? In Orthodoxy, you can actually reach out and see that the heretics are the extreme minority when it comes to the actual opinion. And so these people don't even actually have backings. The people that are actually holding the majority of the opinions can actually all trace themselves back to Christianity, or Christianity in terms of the apostles and Jesus himself. And then move that way, right? In Hadith science, they can accept that some random dude can be like, "Yeah, but I knew Ibn Abbas," and then boom, it's over.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Just to the question, this is my last one. You know, I'm sorry, I'm a yapper, bro, but
no, you're fine.
This is the last. You seem like an honest guy, right? Actually, I'll have two more, but this is like the last, like long from, you know. But why should I accept the Old Testament apart from Jesus telling me to accept it? Like, because again, like the Old Testament is like a very extensive, like over many years, the Israelites were rebellious people. Like, how am I to accept that Moses was the one who actually received revelation? It's not like the authorship of the, you know what I mean, like this sort of stuff, and the creation story of like a bottleneck of Adam and Eve, and like if you get my gist here, like why should I accept that? That's the case.
Well, I mean, when it comes to like the bottleneck of Adam and Eve, I mean, science has already like pretty much proven that there's a such thing as a mitochondrial Eve, that there was a first actual Homo sapien that basically spawned every Homo sapien that we have. And even if you were to hold an evolutionary perspective, so I mean, like that's not even like something that's really that controversial to say that there were two. Let me put it like this: if there was two, right? If there, in order for a full-fledged Homo sapien to exist, there has to be two Homo sapiens that mate, right?
Sure.
Okay, so then therefore, but at the same time though, at some point there had to be two actual.
Well, why can't they be happening at the same? Why can't that happen at a grand scale? What I'm saying, like, what probably happen is that.
I mean, denying evolution, that goes into philosophy, and that goes into an entirely different topic. I mean, if you want to talk about that, we could, but I'm telling you right now, like, that's a whole nother conversation than what we're having.
That's extensive. No, I'll come back to that, man. I'll save you.
Yeah. So obviously, we would say that philosophically, the position of evolution doesn't make any sense, and that's why we hold our position that we do in the church. But that's another conversation, like I said.
Yeah, sure. I'm not gonna touch it.
And like when it comes to like other things within the creation story, like I'm a pretty big skeptic when it comes to a lot of things within modern science. And the main reason is because of the fact, hilariously enough, that have you ever heard of a guy named Robert Maxwell?
Yeah, I know him very well.
Oh, you know Robert Maxwell?
I know of him, yes.
Do you remember?
Well, I don't know him personally,
do you know one of the things that he did? That
I
was
know he
considered
was.
a
Yeah, I know he
horrifying-
was MI6. I mean,
No,
yeah,
not
I know
even
that.
Not even just MI6. What did he do to
Well,
the
I know.
science
Like
world?
you're talking about to the science world, but I don't know. Actually, you have to educate me on that.
So he bought multiple science journal companies, right? He
That's,
bought.
I do know that. Yeah,
He bought. He
sure.
bought. I think it was almost six or seven. Hate to say that, but 6 or 7,
Yeah.
right?
Sure. Yeah.
Science journal companies, and basically
Yeah.
made it to where now, right? People can pay. So he basically saw this, this untapped potential. If I buy
Yeah.
a company that is a science journal company, we can charge people to submit their journals and their findings to us, and then we can accept things based off of donations. That was actually something that he had seen as an opportunity.
This is proven. You're saying.
Yes, you can look this up.
I'm not even doubting it. Yeah, I want to put it past
This
him.
is this is a thing. Okay, you can actually look this up.
Okay.
It's common knowledge, because he cared a lot about data. That was something that Robert Maxwell cared a lot about, was being able to basically control data. And
Dude,
so,
so
and
yeah.
prior to this, you can see that science was not just this big narrow bottleneck of shit where like everybody was just always agreeing on things. Everybody was disagreeing constantly about different findings about things prior to these events. But then when Robert Maxwell basically came to the system of, oh, let's just charge people to actually submit for these things, people started actually submitting different things. And then if people said, oh, but I'm not giving you money though, right? Robert Maxwell would swipe these different papers away. And this would happen consistently. This was something that was actually attested by Ghislaine Maxwell, which I'm sure
That's
you know.
crazy.
Ghislaine Maxwell
I know. Yeah.
is that controlling data was one of their favorite things, right? Sorry, I'm psyoping really hard right now on everybody
No,
on
it's okay.
TikTok
Man.
and
I mean,
YouTube.
was that in the leaked emails?
But yes, this was talked
Okay,
about
fair enough.
consistently by Ghislaine about how they had the ability to literally control science, basically the things that are considered scientific, because of the fact that they owned the companies that published the data. And so because of these things that are because of that can even happen, I am a skeptic on science, because we don't know to this day how much control people still have at actually making a narrative out of science over actually releasing things honestly. Because what happens if somebody is a young earth creationist? They get laughed off, and then every time they try to submit a paper to a scientific journal, they get tossed instantly. They don't even let their shit get published.
Well,
Why?
it's like,
It's free data. Why can't somebody say that?
but is it like their claims have to be a little outlandish? Not like, I don't want to be like mean here. Like
There's
the young
nothing,
Earth
I mean,
creation-
even if somebody is holding to a matured Earth perspective, which is kind of where I'm at, matured young Earth.
like how matured in what? Matured in what way?
So in the Bible, it says that God created Adam and Eve, right? And He created them from nothing, or from the dirt, but they weren't children, right? They were adults.
Yeah.
Created
Okay.
them as adults. Why couldn't God have created the Earth matured?
But I'm saying, oh, you're saying like it's 6,000 years old, but at a mature level. But I mean, sedimentary. I mean, what does that put into question? Like sedimentary formation.
Yeah, I mean, God
The way we
created
think
it in the sense in which that it could be stable for life.
I
So
mean,
obviously,
yeah,
when
so-
people, when people obviously would look at current records, they would see that, oh, well, it would have taken 5 Brazilian years for this rock to become this other rock, right? Yeah, sure, naturally, I concede. I'm saying it didn't happen naturally. It's unfalsifiable. I agree.
Yeah.
It's unfalsifiable. I agree with that. Right? I totally will concede that this is more of an unfalsifiable position, and it's me just holding it because,
So
one, I don't really
what
debate
made-
about this type of topic. Right.
Yeah. So what made you not be an atheist, right? Like anymore. I think because you said, I watched a video of yours, like, oh, I was atheist, you know. But
Yeah, I mean, I was atheist for a long
Like, it's
time. Me
nuts.
personally, what got me to start looking into Christianity was I had a personal experience where I had cried for the first time in over 10 years from hearing the Gospels, hearing the Sermon on the Mount on YouTube. For the
how
first
is that eternal truth?
time.
Like, how could you
It's
accept
not.
that as like an objective?
It's not.
Oh,
not.
fair enough.
So it's
Alright.
not. That was what got me to start looking at it.
So what
Right?
convinced you?
Because I heard it for the first time, and because I was so ignorant of the Bible, the first thing that I said to myself was, I have to figure out who taught this. This is amazing. Right? Like,
So what
it was just
convinced you?
beautiful. I was just like, I had to look. So then I started looking at the gospel accounts. I started looking at philosophy, right? And when I started looking at philosophy, I saw genuinely that the arguments for the existence of God, in my opinion, were pretty much irrefutable. Even the simplest, the argument for motion, I think, is literally undestroyable.
Yeah, and
Argument
Saint Bonaventure's
I don't know.
illumination argument. It's pretty good too.
I mean,
the
like
argument for
tag.
motion
I
is
know
so
people
simple.
run tag, but I think tag's a pretty dumb argument.
I personally don't use tag because it just takes forever. Right? I just think it just
I
takes
get what you're
forever
saying.
to
People
use
don't
people,
know.
and I have to move between people
That
on
version
TikTok.
of
You know what I
creation
mean?
is
I get what you're saying,
called
but the-
hypothesis. I love it because its conception is similar to Adam or the animals and plants born with age.
Yeah. Yeah, Omphalos hypothesis. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, the argument of movement, like Aquinas, he coined that one, or like whatever. Like this, like
Aquinas has
Aristotelian
kind of a
thing,
different version of it than like, because I use
Yeah.
the way that Saint Maximus puts it, because Saint Maximus the Confessor.
and how does Saint Maximus?
Well, I mean, he puts it a very similar. I mean, you'd have to tell me like kind of what you think like Aquinas does. I'm saying that like
Well,
it's
it's
the
like-
way that I read it from is from Saint Maximus, so I don't know if Aquinas
Well, like, the thing
puts
is,
puts a twist on it.
Yeah, well, it's like Aquinas. He's just doing the Greek thing, LARP, you know. But okay, the argument for motion is like, yeah, he's
Yeah,
like LARP of the
what?
Greek. Aquinas is like Greek LARP, you know. Yeah,
He's a Greek LARP because he's
yes.
using Greek arguments.
yeah.
That's funny.
The thing is, dude,
Yeah.
so here's the argument for motion. Though here's my problem with it, where it's like, everything in the created order is hinged upon some transcendent supernatural beginning. Like, why is that? Why is like that's in question to begin
I
with.
mean,
Like, why
I
is
would
that?
say I would say that a transcendent being is deduced from the fact that there is a created order based off of the fact that things move from act to potency, or from potency to act. Right, that things that are in motion in the first place. Right, so like that's the entire point of the argument for motion is
But they
that
can-
due to the fact that
yeah.
people concede that there is motion, which nobody would deny that. Right, due to the fact that there is motion, that means that there are things that move from potency to act, that things that
Or
move
it's like
from
if I'm
non-potency.
boiling water, there's motion.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, there's
like, if I'm just
motion,
boiling
right?
water.
And then there's also motion in the decision for you to boil water.
Okay.
And would you agree that anything that moves from potency to act did not make that on its own volition? That rather there's something else that caused it to move from volition from potency to act.
It depends what you're talking. I mean,
So,
I'm
so
sure
for
there are
example,
things-
the brain making a decision
I-
to do something. Obviously, the brain is not the thing that moved it from potency to act. Rather, there's another thing that caused it to move from potency to act. So, like you could say, electrical signal within the brain. It
get what you're saying.
collapses further and further
Yeah.
and further.
I see what you're
Right.
saying. Yeah.
Nothing can ever actually loop back on itself as a mover. Things always go from being a mover to moving to then denoting a moved. But there's never something that can be
what's
all
the
three of
anchor?
those categories at once.
So what's the anchor for the brain? So okay, you have brain, then you have the synapse, transmission to the synapses and everything. So
Yeah,
that is
things
going to
always
collapse
eventually
all the way
get to a
down.
mind, right? Or things eventually are going to get to a
Collapse
point
down
where
to
there is
what?
no longer something material.
Which you would say you God is that? Is what you say.
Well, I mean, like if we're just talking about like anything in creation at all. I'm not even like necessarily saying just the brain.
Yeah.
I'm saying that basically if we move everything that is cause and effect back to the very beginning, if we go back as far as humanly possible, right, in terms of our knowledge, going all the way back
Yeah.
to the first thing, right, that moves something from potency to act, whatever that thing is, in order for it to be a maximally great thing, right, must be pure act. It can't be something that moved from potency to act. Otherwise, there's now a mover of the unmoved mover, which makes no sense.
Why can't an infinite regress?
Right. Well, I mean, an infinite regress would make it to where there's no capability of actually determining the beginning of anything, and then therefore, if you determine that there's no beginning to anything, then you can't actually make a narrative for the creation of the universe in any sense. Because at the end of the day, you can create a narrative
universe
for
always
the
was.
current set. Well, let me put it like this. Hear me out for a second.
Right.
Yeah.
Physically,
Sorry. So if there is an infinite regress to all things in terms of moving from potency to act, when you actually try to denote that there is some form of potency to act in the first place, if there's an infinite regress, there's actually no principle to determine that there is potency at all. And so then therefore there's actually no way to determine that there is a mover at all. And then that would eventually collapse into basically saying that knowledge is impossible, which I hate. Again, I'm not using tag, but I'm just saying like that eventually
I
gets
get
to
what
the
you're
point
saying.
where there's no
Yeah,
way to
yeah.
actually determine
Yeah.
something being potency versus act because there's no beginning to the
Yeah.
potency going to act in the first place. Everything is always potency and act
I
simultaneously.
see what you're saying, man. Yeah, fair enough.
So I
I
would
mean,
say that
okay.
it's epistemically impossible to actually for it to be an infinite regress. So if there has to be an origination point, in some way, shape, or form, then whatever that thing is has to be pure act. It can't be from potency to act. So then,
Yeah,
what would
fair enough.
what would that have to be, right? Which would then obviously be the argument that that is God, and then there would be a different argument for it actually being a personal God, because then you'd have to say if something is powerful enough to move the everything from potency to act, then it is all powerful. You'd say that if it has the ability to move everything from potency to act, then it's all knowing. And then you'd say that if it has that if it's something that reflects creation, that it's something that has a will to a degree, and that it willed for things to go from potency to act, which means that it's personal. And if there's multiplicity within this world, right? So I'm getting to the end of this. If there's multiplicity that's actually within this world, and we're able to actually show that there's distinction, and the world in some way, shape, or form is actually related to the principle in which that we're from, then that means that the God that we actually worship in some way, shape, or form, or this thing that is pure act in some way, is also multiple. What religion allows that to be the case?
Yeah, I wouldn't sense like
The single principle, which is multiple, would have to be the Trinity. So then, therefore, the problem of the one and the many is now solved by the Trinity as well. And then this would basically continue up until now we have to talk about ecclesiastical problems of Christianity.
Yes,
and then
yeah, but here's
Orthodoxy.
but Christianity is nothing without the Hebrew scriptures. Like first we.
I
So
agree,
why should I take the
but I
Hebrew
believe that the
scriptures?
Hebrew scriptures are Christian. I believe that the Hebrew scriptures actually
Sure,
denote
you could say
Orthodox
that.
Christianity, and I can argue for that.
I would maybe argue for that, but all I'm saying is the thing is what like when I'm why would I divorce it from other Bronze Age mythology? Like, why would I divorce it?
Well, I mean, like I said, the thing eventually comes to the problem of the one and the many, right? If in some way, shape, or form you denote, right, that there is a first principle based off of just the argument from motion, then you get to the point of, okay, but is this first principle many, or is it one or many? And if it's only one, then therefore multiplicity is not something that actually can spring forth from it. That's the simple argument for that, right? Because if it's something because it cannot be anything other than it is not, right, to a degree.
Yeah.
So then, therefore, there would be some form of multiplicity that comes from this thing. There would be some form of simplicity that would come from this thing, and then we'd be able to see these things within creation to then naturally deduce the existence of it, right? Like the argument for motion. But if there's something that's multiple to it, but it's one singular principle, it's one formal principle, that means that in some way it also has to be one. And if it is also one, but also many, we have to look at literally every religion ever been posited in human existence that actually posits that the first and only principle of the universe and reality is one in many. There's one religion that does that, literally one. And so we can actually, we can come to that. We can come to that to do that view, because all of the other monotheistic religions that have ever existed, in some way, shape, or form, have posited a purely simplistic first principle from the argument for motion, like Aristotle and Plato. This is why Plato's demon is literally the problem of the one and the many. It's the thing that he suffered with the most, right? That's the thing that he actually struggled with, was the fact that he asked that question. He said, how is it that things can be many if the one that is the one that is simple is not many? That makes no sense.
Like for example, like a number, right?
Yeah.
Like 5. The 5 is also 5, but
yeah,
4.
like 5. Hold
1,
on.
2,
There's
3, 4,
actually this thing right here.
That's a bad analogy. I mean, that's like a whatever analogy. But...
Yeah. Hold on one second. I want to find this exact thing that I shared that actually talks about this.
Yeah, dude. Do you know the thing is, man? I looked extensively into Christianity. Like this Protestant was like retarded, and like Catholicism was just.
Yo,
Hey, hold on. Wait, come back up real quick. I gotta drop you. You can't say that word on TikTok.
Yo, Bryce, can I bring up the next guy and he just stay on mute? He's asking.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'm trying to find this post real quick, though.
Yeah, all right. Here, I'll add him back up here. There we go. Yeah, you're good. Just don't use that word, bro.
I didn't know that. Yeah, my bad.
No, you're good.
Bad word.
You're good. Hold on, I gotta find
the papacy. Papacy was clearly compromised. Like,
yeah.
Like, man, I live with a lot of Eastern Catholics, and it's like, dude, that position alone is just self-refuting. Like, I debate them. I'm like, dude, how? And it's like these guys, like, they're arguing for the papacy by telling me to forget everything the Pope's done. The last 5 popes have done. Like, bro, nice argument for the papacy, man.
My bad,
like,
bro.
It's like, bro, come on, like.
Where is this thing at, dude? I freaking loved this dang post. I like shared it, and now I can't find it. It's making me mad.
Is it like your Twitter post or like what is it?
Oh, here it is. Listen to
Aristotle
this.
in his Metaphysics said,
I'm gonna play
"It
this
is impossible that
while I go pee.
substance should be one and the same
This
in
is
many
all of the
things at
Greek
same
pagans.
time."
Before I play this, for context, this is the
Aristotle in
context
his
to all of the Greek pagans suffering from the problem of the one and the many. And then listen to Saint Maximus talk about it.
Metaphysics said, "It is impossible that substance should be one and the same in many things at the same time. For if it is one, it will be separable and existing apart. But if it is separable, it cannot be present in the many." Plotinus also said, "How can multiplicity come from what is absolutely one? If the one produces something other than itself, it seems already to be many. But if it remains one, how does anything come from it at all?" Plato in his work called the Parmenides pointed out this issue as, well, if you say that there is a form for each set of things which are many, and that the many things partake of it, do you not see that this leads to difficulty? For either the form as a whole is present in each of the many, or it is divided. But if it is divided, then each thing has only a part of the form, and the form itself will be many rather than one. Thus, there was a plague on philosophy, and we called it the problem of the one and the many, until the Logos of God,
This
who
is
is God,
Maximus.
wills always and in all things to accomplish the mystery of his embodiment. For the Logos contains within himself the logoi of all things that have come to be and that will come to be.
Logoi means reason or intention, by the way.
Each thing is and remains what it is according to its own logos. Yet all things are one in the logos. For the many logoi are one logos, and the one logos is many logoi. Thus, the logos is not divided when he gives existence to the many, nor are the many confused when they are united in him. For unity does not abolish distinction, nor does distinction destroy unity, but rather each is preserved and confirmed by the other. Saint Maximus the Confessor.
So this is the only, so like the Christian faith, especially the Eastern Orthodox view of the logoi, right, is the only system that actually has the ability to fully solve for the problem of the one and the many. And that's like one of the main arguments to tag, which, like I said, I'm not doing tag. All right, I'm not personally somebody who does tag, but that's
Well, you
that's
can
a
do
piece of
you
that.
can do tag. I mean, you can.
No,
But
I
here's
get
the
that, but at
question
the
I
same
have.
time, though, it's easier for me to actually just utilize, right, with someone like you, like who's somebody who's just like, show me, straight up.
Yeah,
Right?
straight up.
Like,
straight
it's
up.
better
Okay,
just me
fair.
like, all right, cool, argument for motion, let's go through it, right? And then after we get through something like that, then we talk about, okay, so then how do we actually determine multiplicity versus simplicity from this said, single principle? And then we talk about that thing, and then we move to the next thing. Okay, well, then what religions actually denote multiplicity and simplicity simultaneously in the first principle? It only seems to be Christianity. So then if that if that is the case, what denomination? And then it continues.
So yeah. So here's the thing. Okay. So let me try to synapse, like give you. So the problem, the one and the many. I know what I'm like familiar with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this case of what you just showed me, it's like okay, it's something that's either gonna be composite or modal, essentially. Like if there's one and many things, right? And so that's the contradiction. But how does Christianity solve that? Like through the logos, through like Jesus being the divine word of God and the reason. Like how does that?
Okay, so within our view of God's mind, there's this thing that's called the doctrine of the logi or the logoi, right?
Sure.
Which is basically reflections of the divine mind. So this includes things like the laws of logic, right? The laws of logic are considered logoi,
Okay.
right? They are things that are in God's mind, and when we see, right, when we utilize things like the laws of logic, we're simply just actually arguing from the order in which God has basically set everything up. Right.
Sure.
And so due to the fact that, but there is a logoi for every single human being on this planet, which means that there is an intention or reason for them to exist.
Okay.
Right. That in God's mind, there is a reason and an intention for why God created them. Now, God's reasoning for creating you, he also allows you to stray from this said thing that he has intended for you to be. Right, there is a idea, right there. I use that, or a concept within God's mind of you, in some way, shape, or form, of what you could be in perfection, right? What you would be in complete perfection in every regard.
Yo, I'm gonna hop off here, Bryce. See you guys. God bless y'all.
Yeah, go ahead, Isaiah.
Peace, man.
Sorry, God bless, dude. Right, there is something in some way, shape, or form within God's mind that actually does this. And this is seen in the fact that we can see this multiplicity, right, within, right, this is something that's multiple within God's mind itself.
I get what you're saying.
But the
because in that
argument
one
then
essay-
eventually comes to the Trinity, because then we're talking about things that God is giving us, versus then we have to come back to the things that are in God itself. When we talk about the divine relations, the Trinity is many. The Trinity is three. The Trinity is also one. The Trinity is three. It's simultaneously 1 and 3. God is 1 and 3. God is 3 and 1. Right, in this sense. So there's already multiplicity in God. And there is also full simplicity in God at the same time. And so with that doctrine as a thing, right, something that was thought of, I mean, this argument was given like way before like this was like common knowledge, right? This is something that was given throughout time, over time, or just in general throughout like the patristic period. Obviously, we already had Aristotle, we already had Plato, and then we had Plotinus, right? We had people that came and went from the Greek times, right? And this idea of the fact that basically there's some form of multiplicity that has to be denoted, but then when we actually move back to the first principle, whatever this multiplicity or whatever multiplicity is something that can't actually be reached back to that first principle, because of the fact that the people like Aristotle and Plato couldn't actually denote a multiplicity.
Yes.
Right. And so like St. Maximus's argument that he was using in that video was simply just saying that, yes, we actually can, due to the fact that there is multiplicity within this world, we can denote that, and therefore there's some form of reasoning for multiplicity that is prior to the human intellect. And that's why we're able to come to that conclusion of multiplicity. And so that's kind of like what I mean by that. Is that
Okay, fair enough. No, that's good. I'm gonna look into that more. Actually, do you have any recommendations, like based off my case study? Like, what would you recommend? Like,
I mean,
I've read Athanasius. Like, I've read On the Incarnate. I've read this sort of stuff. But...
Okay. A good work that you could read that's not like crazy in terms of like, because like I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like St. Maximus is really hard to read. Like he is. He's extremely hard to read because he's very philosophical with his argumentation, and he goes extremely in depth to the point where if you're learning Orthodoxy, it muddies the waters sometimes. And it's not because of the fact that he says too much. It's because of the fact that it's not for somebody who's inquiring. It's not what he made his works for. He made his works for specific heresies that were existing during his time. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, like, I would recommend reading somebody like St. John of Damascus. St. John of Damascus is Exposition of the Orthodox Faith, Book 1.
Yeah.
Because that talks about the argument from motion generally, and then it starts talking about the Trinity. It talks about how these two things coincide. It starts talking about basically just like...
he defends essence energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Multiple times within
That's good.
And the entire Exposition of the Orthodox Faith, like the first three books, I mean, the third book, hilariously enough, is mostly just the essence energies distinction, because it talks about Christ being two energies, right? Christ having two energies,
natures,
right? And then he starts talking about how the energy from eternity is the thing in which that we participate in, and that is something that the other churches do not teach.
Yeah, man, I go to bat for you guys. I'm telling you, like, I debate these Catholics like it's just a clown show. So I mean, I know all of that, like the created grace and this sort of garbage, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. I like it, man, but again, like as eternal truth, I don't know if I can. I'll look into it, you know.
I would at least read his work first. You know what I mean? Because like it's really good. It argues, because Exposition of the Orthodox Faith is not just arguing within Christianity; it's arguing for Christianity, right?
Yeah.
To anyone who comes across it. It's not the same thing as like if you were to see like St. Maximus the Confessor, who's usually arguing within Orthodoxy in order to prove a certain point about Christology or a certain point about the Trinity, which then can muddy the waters for somebody who is just trying to learn about the Trinity in general. Right? St. John of Damascus argues against everyone.
Yeah, St. John of Damascus is a champion of the game. Yeah, I'll look into him, dude, you know.
Okay, cool.
You're a legend, man. Appreciate you
man.
for bringing me up, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.
Take care, man.
And it was down to 2.
Yeah, man. What's going on?
What's up? Nothing much. Had to go to a stupid work meeting for an hour for no reason on my off day.
Oh yeah.
It actually pissed me off. Talking about nothing but bullshit.
Wait, are you doing like open discussion tonight, or is it just the prompt?
I mean, I ain't got anybody else. Currently sitting here right now. He was Justin, by the way, said that you're lying and that you were playing Deadlock, Basil.
No, I was. What? My PC's been off for an hour.
Did I might have I might be misremembering this, but did you say a while ago, I think, that you looked into biblical studies and stuff before you ever got really big into philosophy?
Yes. Yeah, I was somebody that kind of cared a lot more about the textual criticism stuff before I got into philosophy, mainly because of the fact that obviously I didn't really understand philosophy or its necessity. And then I learned, over time, that in order to basically make the argument, right, that in order to make the argument that something is true or false in the first place, you have to have an epistemology, you have to have an understanding of metaphysics, you have to have all these types of things, right? You have to have a worldview. And so then I started studying philosophy because I was like, okay, well, obviously I can't just start throwing a bunch of shit out. I have to learn about why I throw stuff out. I have to worry about why I say that this thing is the case versus this thing not being the case. That was kind of the thing that got me into philosophy in the first place. And I'm not gonna lie to you, one of the people that actually got me into thinking about that in the first place was Jay Dyer, right? Because Jay was kind of one of the first people I ever had heard kind of bring up the topic of how do you know what you know? Right. And I was like, made me think.
Right.
And I started looking into stuff like that. And, it helped me a lot start, learning about grounding, learning about understanding, being able to make arguments in the first place, learning about logical fallacies, learning about, how to actually make arguments, learning about soundness, all this type of stuff. It took a while.
Right.
But
did you engage with the literature a lot on biblical studies? Or
no, I didn't. So I didn't really look into a ton of the church fathers being tied to the scriptures and stuff like that when it came to the first church fathers. My main thing was the consistency of the church fathers versus the people that rose up as considered heretics in that time. And I was convinced by the argumentations of the church fathers, and I was convinced by the ecclesiastical system in which that was put in place in order to make sure that heresy could not enter the church. And so obviously believing in a 100% certitude that Polycarp learned everything he said from John is a faith thing in some degree.
Yeah.
Right. That is something that has to do with faith, and the same thing has to do with any of the first and second century church fathers, that they have the ability to show that.
Well, I think one can argue historically that
I think so too. I'm just not. I just think textual criticism is so convoluted and, quite frankly, kind of boring.
I agree. I don't like textual criticism
because it ends up becoming a scholar war. How many scholars can I quote versus how many scholars you can quote?
I mean, yeah, I get that in a sense, especially in apologetics when people talk about academia. But I think, I agree with you. I think textual criticism is really boring. I prefer source criticism or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I get what you mean by a scholar war, and I think I've heard you talk about modern scholarship before relating to other things. Do you think that modern scholarship has much value or more value in a field like biblical criticism than theology? I think is when you usually talk about it.
No, I think modern scholarship, actually critiquing church history and stuff like that, is actually one of the reasons why Protestantism has become such a problem. Right, because when you think about the notion of the Enlightenment, right, the Enlightenment period, from France and stuff like that, And then you see how people had exercised all of this kind of stuff in like the Protestant sect, like with Martin Luther and stuff like that, where they believed that basically anybody had the authority, even if they were outside of the body, in order to basically critique tradition, or critique like, oh well, even though that this was a tradition, like I don't personally think that this is the case because X. Right, like that mentality in of itself strays away from the entire point of the historical, like historicity, and that just brings forth strip mall churches.
Right.
And a lot of that ends up coming from fruits at the end of the day when it comes to that as well. It's like, okay, well then how can I like trust this modern scholar who personally disagrees with something that people were practicing for this amount of time versus another? And it just becomes a battle. It becomes a battle of like, okay, but like who actually knows what they're talking about versus another, which is why it turns into a scholar battle of like, oh, well, I quoted this scholar that agrees with me. Then this person says, well, I agree with this scholar who says this because this person is part of my worldview, right? Because these people have worldviews on how they come to truth. And some people believe that you can come to truth because of the fact that they can just naturally reason away from 2,000 years of natural reasoning. Right, that like basically that they're the arbiter of truth to the degree because of the fact that they possess a damn degree. You know?
Right.
And
Do you think oh no, go ahead.
I was about to say, I was like, when you think about every heretic that's existed in church history, that's exactly what they did. They strayed from tradition, and then they made the argumentation that they actually know the true understanding of that scripture. And that's why I believe that actually showing the apostolic succession and showing, right, the fact that these church fathers actually came from the apostles and they taught the tradition consistently is like the most important piece to all of
it. How reliable do you think, no, that's not the right word. How consistent do you think the early fathers have to be for them to sort of seem like, I'll give you an example, right? Irenaeus speaks about the Gospel of Matthew and says that
there's a Hebrew.
It was written.
That it was in Hebrew, right?
That too, but it was written. I think it's after, like in whilst Peter and Paul are preaching in Rome or something, or after that. Mm-hmm. He says. I mean, I personally don't hold to that. Do you think that they have to be totally accurate when it comes to these things for them to be like?
No, I don't believe that that church fathers have to be 100% accurate in their historical attestation towards things. There's a difference between theology and then historical attestation towards an event occurring. Because Saint Irenaeus also said that Jesus was 50 years old when he died.
Okay.
So like,
oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. I mean, like Saint Irenaeus said that Jesus was 50 when he died. And then there's also multiple things that he attributes that like we don't like to like early attestation that isn't necessarily held by every church father and every person who comes after him. Like for example, Saint Irenaeus also says in Against Heresies, he says that he attests an amillennial soteriology,
a 1,000-year kingdom on earth.
Yeah, he believes that that's not something that's actually happened yet. But then the majority of the church fathers, like especially post Saint Irenaeus, would say that we're in a millennial, that the first 1,000 years of Christianity is that 1,000 years.
Do you not think that
that Jesus actually protected the church to the degree of actually allowing it to spread as much as it did, because it made sense because of how fast Christianity was spreading, and that was the argumentation behind why they said that was the case.
Right. Do you think that I guess that sort of leads on to a question then, because Irenaeus isn't the only one to mention this. Papias does as well, right?
Yeah, Papias does through Eusebius of Nicomedia, yeah.
And he critiques him on it, or says some not nice things about him because of it. Do you think that here, if you have two early fathers, like assuming Irenaeus maybe doesn't get his tradition from Polycarp, right? Even without that, do you not think that these two more historical or closer to the time of Jesus witnesses maybe hold more weight into this specific teaching or their interpretation of it than later fathers? Or would you take later fathers over Irenaeus and Polycarp as historical witnesses.
I mean, like the main traditional perspective that I would take from the early church is what was actually said specifically at the ecumenical councils. The ecumenical councils is where things are actually settled in dogma. Okay, think of it like this: is my salvation at stake because of the fact that I say that Jesus was 50 or I say Jesus was 33?
No, I wouldn't say so.
And would you say that my salvation is at stake if I say that the age of the church was the first 1,000 years, or that it hasn't happened yet?
I couldn't tell you if that's in like a canon or not of the council.
Yeah,
so.
because they're not. Right? They're not things that are actually declared as dogmatic in order to basically be a Christian. Right, and this is actually explicated by Saint Justin Martyr, because Saint Justin Martyr also holds to a more amillennial perspective. But then he also then goes to say right after that there are many Christians who hold the perspective that this is not the case and that it's happening right now, but they are still Christians and that they are pious people that still hold to the faith.
Do you have like a source, like which writing he says that? Because that's interesting.
Yeah, it's in Dialogue with Trypho. Hold on.
Okay. Because like the whole like Chiliasm thing that Papias holds to, something I was exploring for a bit, like the historicity of it, and I didn't know about this. What Justin Martyr says.
Mm-hmm.
That's that specifically the other Christians don't believe in this. I think that's that's probably quite important. I guess the whole Hebrew gospel thing is another thing, but.
Yeah, he said, in Dialogue with Trypho, chapter 80 is where it's at.
Chapter 80. Okay, perfect.
That's where he talks about the position of the premillennialism, and then he also then pretty much like right after that statement then goes to say that there are people that don't hold this perspective that are fine, because it's not salvific, right? And so people obviously had debates about certain historical attestations or certain soteriological things, right? But that doesn't necessitate that then therefore there's some kind of like, like there's a split of faith, because like this wasn't something that a schism occurred over. The church was still the church, even though that there was different perspectives on this. Like Dionysius of Alexandria was very obviously more on our side when it comes to this, right? And that's in his fragments in part 1, chapter 1. Where he states,
when you say our side, do you mean the non-millennial side?
Yeah.
Right. Do you not think that though? Yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't something that like caused like schism per se.
I think the things that caused schism are the things that were theological that needed to be explicated, and that's why councils had occurred, because of the fact that schisms had occurred from this set thing. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, due to the fact that Saint Justin Martyr had already said in the 2nd century that many who belong to the pure and pious faith are true Christians and think otherwise, right? He says that in Dialogue with Trypho, chapter 80, after making the argument that he believes in a certain understanding of it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think though that even if it doesn't lead to like schism, for example, because Eusebius clearly doesn't like Papias very much.
I mean, obviously.
And I think this view is actually the reason because of that. And this leads to him, or at least, well, scholarship attests to what it seems like in his writings, that he tries to remove Papias from John as much as he can. Do you not think that issues like this, they may not be salvific? Do you not think that the church has some degree of like they should not necessarily teach a dogma on it, but inquire into it more as to not lead to problems like what happened with Eusebius and Papias, because that was quite damaging.
I mean, even with what occurred with Eusebius and Papias, it doesn't necessarily entail that like there was something that could cause salvific problems in the first place. So like, for example, like everything that was ever detested that some people would even consider, like some Protestants would say, like, for example, like a lot of people would say that you shouldn't have to be able to affirm that Mary is the mother of God. A lot of Protestants will say that. They'll say that there's no way that that's a salvific problem. Do you know why it was condemned? Why you
Why
can't
won't-
why you can't say that Mary is not the mother of God? It's not just because of the fact that Cyril said that it's disrespectful. He didn't say that.
Is it because I'm a Nestorian?
Because it makes you Nestorian. It makes
Yeah.
you Christologically in error. Because if you say that no, she's not the mother of God, she's the mother of Jesus, you just split Jesus into two persons.
That's the Christotokos thing, right?
Yeah. The same thing also
Yeah.
goes, now we look at the Seventh Ecumenical Council. You look at when it comes to icons. Do you know why they said you can't reject the veneration of icons? It wasn't because they just thought you had to, because you're disrespectful. It's because it led to Christological heresies, because you believe that Jesus Christ himself in the flesh is the icon of the Father. So if you don't think that icons are possible, then basically your Christology is completely screwed up, and then you're holding to some form of false understanding of Christology. So you're condemned on that note, not because of the fact that, that you're just disrespectful to a tradition. It's because it leads to a different heresy that was already condemned.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Do you know-
Ephesus was condemning Nestorianism and condemning that Mary is not the Theotokos. Sorry, saying you can't say that Mary is not the Theotokos. Because it leads to the thing that Ephesus was talking about, not because of the fact that you're just mean because you say it.
But do you not think that, like, when it comes to, like, issues like millennialism, at least to try and avoid things like what happened between Eusebius and Papias, that the church should, rather than, I'm not saying they need to set up an ecumenical council to decide whether this is like a historical saying of Jesus. I'm just saying, do you not think that, like, to try and avoid things like this happening again in the future for future generations of Christians, looking back at writings that know of the modern day, do you not think that the church should take measures to, like, write on these things and, like, speak about these things?
I don't think they necessarily had to, no. When it comes to, like, the millennial problem, right, I don't think that leads to any form of actual theological heresy if you hold to one or the other.
Oh, I agree.
You can hold to a historical error and literally not be in heresy at all.
That's fine. It's just that with Eusebius and Papias specifically, Eusebius removing Papias from John and, like, the Johannine tradition has been quite detrimental, at least to us figuring out the history.
That's an error. That's an error that Eusebius should not have done. He should not have basically tried to censor Papias. But that's just my personal opinion. But that doesn't mean that then therefore, like, for example, like Papias was in error or somebody else who holds the contrary is in error just because of that. Right? Eusebius was a historian, but like most scholars would agree that Eusebius was also extremely biased, and that he purposely would actively attempt to basically mask or censor things that he did not agree with within his writings of history. I mean, he talked very positively about St. Constantine until Constantine had affirmed Nicaea, and then he started not talking about him as well. Mm-hmm. Right? He talked greatly about St. Constantine back when St. Constantine wasn't convinced of Nicaea, because Eusebius was not somebody who had affirmed Nicaea. Right? But then he suddenly changed his opinion and started talking more negatively about St. Constantine after he had become a Nicene. Eventually, Eusebius, I don't know if I've read this, I can't remember if I read this specifically somewhere, so don't quote me on this, but I think I remember St. Constantine sending a letter to Eusebius stating that he needs to accept the Nicene Creed as well. I don't know if that actually ever went through fully.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, it rings a bell to me too. I just can't remember specifically what it was. But if I remember correctly, there was a letter that St. Constantine had sent to Eusebius telling him to accept Nicaea. And then eventually Eusebius had accepted Nicaea before he died. But it's generally accepted that he was an Arian, because most people believe that he only accepted Nicaea for basically either clout or political reasons, not because of the fact that he actually was a Nicene Christian.
Mm-hmm. And I guess another question is sort of related, but yeah, and I guess that's the issue with. Well, I mean, I'm not an originist in any way, shape, or form. I do think that sometimes he gets a bit more of a bad rap than he. You
said you're an originist?
I said I'm not an originist.
But you think he gets more of a bad rap than he should?
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
Is it because?
I don't agree with, like, universalism or any form of originism. I just think there's some things that he said or affirmed or did that were good, and I think people don't talk about them because the bad stuff outweighs it, which I can understand. I just
Yeah,
think
bro. I
people-
mean, Nestorius rejected the filioque way, but I mean, still anathema to that Jew.
Sure, you can say anathema origin if you want. That's fine. I just mean like, do you not? I'm trying to think of an example.
Even if there was orthodoxy seen within a heretic, that doesn't mean that then therefore they didn't die with a heretical position, right?
I don't disagree with that. I just think that, like, do you not think that even if that was the case, that if somebody, for example, did something that managed to vindicate, I don't know, the New Testament really well, because Origen was like a big textual critic or a guy that, even if you could say like, oh, this guy's a heretic, but he was pretty good at doing this.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
like,
you could say that he's a good source for historical Christianity, right? Simpliciter, right? Like
yeah,
you could say
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, and most people would agree that Origen is a good person to quote when it comes to trying to make the argument that Christianity existed in a pretty close sense to what we were already talking about, at least within Origen. Even if
Bryce, your favorite person's in the box. I just had to let you know.
I'll let him up in a minute. It's all good. But yeah, like it's just there's a difference between somebody making a historical error and then somebody making a theological error. And if somebody makes theological errors, then that's that sucks. They are currently they're anathema if you teach a different gospel.
Do you think that
historical attestation is not necessarily another gospel if the theology is the same?
Do you I think this is maybe a bit of a gray area, right? Do you think that if somebody said the New Testament authors, let's just like specifically say the gospel authors, weren't professing Trinitarians, but they wrote Trinitarian scriptures, do you see an issue with that?
Say that one more time.
If somebody says that the gospel authors weren't like verbatim professing Trinitarians, however they wrote scriptures guided by the Holy Spirit which are Trinitarian, do you see an issue with that?
No, I mean me personally, like I would say that the gospel authors were Trinitarian.
Sure, but do you see an issue with somebody saying they weren't but they wrote Trinitarian scriptures?
I mean, I would say that it's kind of dumb to assume that the apostles or something like that, like, wrote Trinitarian scriptures but weren't Trinitarian themselves. I wouldn't really necessarily be okay with that because, like, I would believe that if somebody is guided by the Holy Spirit, that they're writing what they believe, and if the scriptures are Trinitarian, then they're writing Trinitarian stuff.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't think. I mean, I was speaking to somebody about this a while ago, and they said they don't think that the apostles would have rejected. They said they thought the apostles would if they were at Nicaea, would definitely accept the Trinity, but they didn't think that like you could at least verify that they were actual Trinitarian authors.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Abdul just said, like in the chat. Like it'd be like having to say that basically like their belief contradicted what they wrote. And
not like they contradict Trinitarian, like their view contradicts Trinitarianism, just that it's not developed. Like,
yeah, I mean, like I don't believe that probably the apostles like came to the notion the same way that Trinitarians did, like in their time.
Yeah,
but I do believe that obviously if they were at Nicaea, that they would have accepted Nicaea.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't really see an issue with that. I mean, I definitely believe that there was a development of the way of philosophy or the way that we actually worded things within the Trinity, but I don't necessarily think that the apostles basically were spouting things the same way that Saint Athanasius was saying things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't just mean to like the degree. Yeah, that's kind of really what I'm just trying to say. I'm not saying that.
I think that the apostles obviously would have agreed with Saint Athanasius.
Yes, agreed, definitely.
Right, 1 second here. Carlos for $5. Thank you very much, brother. He says, Bryce, do you have any thought on the Council of Blackernay 1157 and Deacon Soteriakos and PSA? Hilariously enough, that specific council regarding PSA, it wasn't exactly something that actually was about PSA. It was about whether or not the sacrifice was only due to the Trinity or due to the Father. And so obviously Soterikos believed in the position that basically the sacrifice of Christ only applied to the Father, and that it was not something that the Son and the Spirit actually also participated in terms of like accepting of sacrifice. Anybody who purports PSA, at least from what I've read, I mean, hilariously enough, even including, I hate to say this, Calvin, in his institutes, like, I mean, like, they agree that obviously like the sacrifice or the atonement is something that's due to all three persons of the Trinity. So I mean, like, it's not necessarily something that I would say that it's anathematizing some of the more modern reformers in the way that they try to say that the Father damns the Son, but it's not anathematizing like the entire view on its own. But thank you very much for the thank you for the donation there. I know what you're talking about though. Yeah,
I don't know if, because Abdul's up, if he wanted to like ask me to clarify something. 'Cause, I mean, it seems he came up after he sent his comment.
Oh, no, you clarified it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that to be honest, that's all I've really got. But no, I appreciate you answering my questions. All right, God bless.
Yeah, God bless, man. What's up, Abdul? It's been a little bit, man. Been gone.
Hello. No, I've been here. I just didn't. People are just dumb. I just choose not to engage with a lot of people in your server.
Oh, no need. Yeah, screw it. Because I let in a bunch of people that be goofy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't worry. There's other people that have the patience to sit on Discord and talk to them all day, so it's okay.
And then Basil keep blowing up my phone.
What?
Hey Basil, bro, don't make me call you by your government name, bro.
By the way, Bryce, you should take a look at Jordan Travis's Filioque defense video and him debunking EO arguments. None of the mainstream Orthodox channels are responding to it. Yeah, I'll think about doing a stream on it. I've heard that him and, what is his name, like Abrahamos or whatever, that 15-year-old kid or whatever. I don't remember. I don't know how old he is.
Abrahamos is 15 years old.
Making the stuff about Filioque stuff. I know that I know that he made like a whole video on it or whatever, and he talked with God Logic about it or some shit. But
is God Logic Orthodox?
No, God Logic is not Orthodox, but there's a video recently of Jordan Travis apparently like giving Filioque Dawa to him on YouTube.
That's sad.
Yeah. Bryce, explain that book you were glazing on your story. It's the Catechism of St. Peter Mogila. It's a great catechism about the doctrines of the Orthodox Church, and so it's a meme in the online Orthodox community to basically just show a picture of like a person like holding the book and like looking like they're flexing it. Hold on, I'll show some of these because I don't know if everyone actually saw these yet. Abdul, have you seen these things that I've been doing?
No clue what you're talking about, bro. What the hell? Alright, damn idiot.
Dude, I got so many of these things. There's freaking Bessarion holding the book too.
I could have sworn he was fatter than that.
Huh?
But I thought Bessarion was fatter than that.
Pope Eugenius the Fourth holding it. Genie Constantinu.
Oh hell no.
Mike Jones.
That's his name, Mike Jones.
David Wood.
Oh hell no.
Flexing in a debate con. You know what I'm saying? Hawkeye Mihawk. Dude, freaking.
Need.net. Who's Need.net?
I need to do one of NeedGod.net doing it, bro. Yeah, this is funny. I need to make one of NeedGod.net doing it. I haven't made that one yet.
Is Nika that that Protestant guy that like tries to be
The
super
guy that's
nice
got
to
the square.
people?
He's got the square face
Oh yeah. I always
and
think of
the Lego block hair.
yeah, I always think of that Catholic guy that's that kind of popular, but says a whole bunch of nonsense.
Trent Horn.
No, he's like a kid. He's not like super mainstream. He's like TikTok famous.
Jesus and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, true that. Hold on 1 second. I got you. We'll do it right now. It'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah, Jesus and whatnot. He'd be saying a whole bunch of nonsense.
He be saying some funny stuff, bro.
What's an underrated theology book? Depends what topic, honestly.
Underrated theology book?
Yeah. Depends what topic. I don't know if this is underrated. I don't know. A lot of people don't read like the entire thing, but like Maximus's Response to Thalassios, like the whole entire work. A very good work. Like 13, 43, 45, 63. Those are very good. Very good works. Good works.
I'm trying to think. Because, like, obviously I can't be, like, saying a book that's, like, AI translated because then that doesn't count as being underrated because nobody technically reads it anyway.
Wouldn't J die? Oh, hell no.
All right, here you go, Abdul.
That's who I thought. Okay, so this is Jesus and whatnot, right? I thought it was. Yeah, I don't really know the difference between these people. Yeah, he'd be saying a whole bunch of nonsense. I think like Agan called him out for like a debate, something like that, about the filioque from Saint Cyril.
Yeah.
Like underrated in terms of easy to read. Underrated. Wouldn't Jay Dyer's essay on theology be really good? Oh hell no. Have you ever read Jay Dyer's essay? Right?
We gotta make one with Ben Shapiro. Don't mind if I do. Hold on.
Bryce should be reading that Jay Dyer work.
The Jay Dyer work? What are you talking about?
Apparently, someone's saying that Jay Dyer be dropping essays.
Oh yeah, he has like a bunch of essays back when he was doing like his Jay's analysis stuff.
Oh.
I'm doing a needgod.net one now.
Apparently I'm supposed to intercede and ask you if you believe trad authorship of all gospel.
Oh yeah. No, I said that I personally believe in that. Yeah, I haven't studied like a bunch of stuff in order to make like this huge argument for it, but
trad authorship, what does that mean?
I'm assuming that means that like Matthew wrote Matthew, John wrote John.
Oh, yeah. The fathers.
Instead of like holding to like the anonymous authorship or whatever.
Yeah. The argument with the fathers. There's no argument against it. There's nobody around that time that said otherwise. If you're just going from a historical method, they are the authors. And the earliest attestation is Pappus, St. Pappus, and who copies it and says, Pappus says this as Eusebius. And most people will say, oh, why would I not trust Eusebius? Okay, why wouldn't you?
Papias only speaks about, like, it's only undisputed that Papias speaks about Mark and Matthew. And plus, when he speaks about Matthew, he says Matthew's either written in Hebrew It's both like there's some people argue there's just like a Hebrew tone to it, but
No,
they
there,
did
there
they
he
didn't.
did. I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead as well.
I would agree. I mean, most fathers that spoke about that topic agree that Matthew did write a Hebrew one for the Jews first, and then he wrote one in Greek for the Gentiles.
You believe he wrote two?
Same thing, just different language. But if you mean two as in like different language, sure, yeah.
So just to clarify, do you think he wrote one in Hebrew, then somebody else translated it into Greek, or that he translated his own work into Greek?
I'm pretty sure from what I remember from like the fathers, he wrote in Hebrew. He wrote both one in Hebrew and in Greek. I think it's Paul's epistle to the Hebrews that was translated to Greek by Luke. I think it was Clement that said that.
Right, it's just because, well, the thing is, I think it comes a bit later, at least definitely after Irenaeus and Clement of Alexandria, I believe that, because I don't think Matthew wrote a Greek gospel, but that's fair enough. I guess that makes sense.
You said it comes a bit later after Irenaeus. What comes a bit later after Irenaeus?
Yeah, sorry. The idea that Matthew, or I guess
the idea that Matthew wrote a Greek gospel.
The idea, well, I don't want to say that because it's not necessarily that. It's just our first attribution that doesn't mention Matthew's gospel being written in Hebrew, is what I mean. That doesn't necessitate, obviously, that they're saying.
Wait, you said the first attestation doesn't say that Matthew's gospel is written in Hebrew, or it does?
The first attestation to that isn't until after Clement of Alexandria. Is Clement of Alexandria after Irenaeus, or have I got that the wrong way around?
Bryce, you gotta redeem G1. He lost to Danny. That's just actually not true. I watched that debate.
What is G1 a low church Protestant? Because I don't know, people keep telling me different things about him. Bruh. Is that one of the things you put on your story?
Yeah, I just made that.
I didn't see the Veg Shapiro one. That's funny. Oh.
Yeah, no, I this meme format is so freaking funny, bro. I love it. Jewish skeptic said, "Pretty sure Father Stephen DeYoung destroyed the original Matthew and Aramaic argument. Had to find the video. You'd have to send it to me."
Yeah, I don't think Matthew was originally in there. I don't think any of the Gospels were originally in Aramaic. To be honest, it's kind of speculation. But
yeah, no, there's nobody that ever said that it was in Aramaic. It's mainly everybody.
It's just modern scholars trying to find like a Aramaic layer, like Bruce Masker does. That tries to.
Yeah, there's some scholars that take that the Hebrew copy of Matthew's what these scholars title as Q.
Yeah, that's why I think Matthew wrote Q.
The thing that I would say about G1 wrestling guys that I think he could have done better is when Danny made the argument that basically why can't we say that Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon have the same divine nature and then therefore the same divine existence. I wish that G1 would have actually honed in on the fact that basically due to the fact that all three of these gods, right, have different wills, that makes that not true. Right,
wait,
because like,
can you repeat that? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, Danny made the argument that basically people can make the argument for like pagan religions being like trinities. Right, in a sense, like if you talk about the Greek gods, like all three of them possessing a quote-unquote divine nature, that why does that not also collapse into basically being called the Trinity? And G1 didn't really go hard on that.
Oh, that was Danny's argument against G1?
pretty much.
Oh my days.
Now we got Wes Huff
What?
flexing the book, dude. Billions will read.
Bro, you know me as smarter than that, honestly. Than such a dumb argument.
It's Danny, like, what's his name? Danny Philbro. Or
That's
the atheist.
when you say Danny, you're talking about the atheist, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The one that was on Surrounded.
Thought he was smarter than that.
Apparently not.
That's
What?
a terrible argument.
Hmm.
There we go.
The non-canonical version, I think Matthew wrote Q, is what I mean when I say that. If Papias is talking about an actual gospel written in Hebrew, rather than just one that's like stylistically looks a bit Hebrew that's actually written in Greek, and then I think he wrote Q.
Mr. Jax for $2. Thank you very much, man. He says, make one of Andrew Tate holding it. Yeah, genius. Can I even say that dude's name on TikTok without getting banned?
Be honest, did you ask ChatGPT to make a photo of he who must not be named holding it, the guy from that country in the Middle East?
I don't know who the who shall not be named is.
I don't want to like BB. I don't know if you can actually say that on TikTok. Yeah, big Nat.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I haven't done that yet. That'd be funny. Big Nat.
Well, I mean, he doesn't like roam a lot, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Chud streaming for almost 3 hours. Dude, can I not do that? Holy moly. Will you ever debate ethics again after that one debate? What? I don't know what debate you're talking about, but... Oh, are you talking about that one that I had from freaking against Aaron Raw? If so, yeah, I mean, sure, dude. If someone wanted to talk about it, I'd be cool with it.
Oh dear.
Boom.
What about Peter Diamond?
Peter Diamond is mentally insane, to be fair.
I mean, if you're gonna get Andrew Tate and Ben Shapiro to hold it, no way.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
Like, I remember the AI video you did of Vatican II.
Yeah. Not a bad idea. Do one of Leo the 14th. Dude, I'm getting all the good ideas now. It took me forever to come up with all these people to do this with, but freaking Ambrose just did this one. Yeah, he got Christian B. Wagner, dude.
Have you watched any of the Ethan Muse content that's been going around recently?
Ethan Muse?
Yeah.
How do I not know who that is?
I think I heard you talking about Fatima. I don't know if it was in relation to this. The guy that is vindicating Catholic miracles.
No,
On Matt Frad.
I haven't even heard of that guy, no.
What? That's not ChatGPT. What AI are you using to like?
It is.
to, like, make them?
It is ChatGPT.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Have you got like a subscription?
Yeah.
Fair.
It's a catechism for the Orthodox Church, Clap Frogger. It's a great catechism for the Orthodox Church.
What about Bessarion? Oh, no, you already did one of Bessarion.
I already did one of Bessarion holding it, don't worry.
Do sneak.
Great idea. Do one of Nestorius? I'm not gonna do it. It's not gonna look good anyway because every picture of Nestorius is in black and white. It won't make any sense.
I think the only one I've seen is the one where he's got like his head turned.
Yeah.
Looking back.
Yo, shalom, Bryce.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I had a very brief question before I head to bed. What are your thoughts on apophatic theology?
Apophatic theology. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty awesome.
Do you think the neo-patristic synthesis is fine?
I don't really think the neo-patristic understanding is very good, no.
How, in what ways do you think they diverge from St. Dionysius?
I think that, like, actually making the argument that basically, like, for example, divinity is not the essence entirely, I think is a little goofy. Because, like, because I believe that, like, the formalities, like, of the apophatic, like, predicates, like, if we're talking about, like, infinity or uncreatedness and stuff like that, still denote the other formalities, which are the positive ones.
Doesn't St. Dionysius deny that we can even attribute those to God at all? That he's above any sort of creaturely understanding of what infinity is?
Yeah, if we're talking about, like, that thing on its own, that own formality wouldn't apply as a energy, but it would denote other things. It would denote other energies within that predicate.
Could you just, like, I don't know, like, further explicate that then?
Yeah, if I say that, like, God is infinite, right, that would denote his power, right? And so if it would denote his
that's
power,
not the way that I understand it.
Well, like,
what do you mean?
Well, you wouldn't agree that, like, an apophatic statement attributed to God converts into some type of cataphatic statement?
I didn't understand that. What about a cataphatic statement?
You wouldn't agree, like, a apophatic statement that's given to God converts into some type of perfection, or like a cataphatic statement that is said to God, attributed to God.
Do I think that an apophatic statement can be, like,
okay, I'll give
turned into a cataphatic? Yeah, please. I'm not trying.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. It's like when we say God is not composite, it converts into that he's simple, or simplicity itself, as Paulina says.
No, I don't think.
You don't.
Saint Dionysius. No, Saint Dionysius rejects that language.
That God saying God is simple.
Yeah, he rejects that. He rejects any understanding. Like, if I were to say God is good, like in the sense of, like, describing God literally as what he is, any of those statements are wrong.
Like, okay,
to say that God is good, like, for example, Saint Dionysius can say, like, for example, God is good, but all that means is that the reason we call God good is because he's the source of all goodness, or all goodness is sourced from him. The same way when we say, like, God is perfect, the reason we say that is because all the perfect things in creation are sourced from him.
Okay, would you say the energies are God themselves?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not worried on EED.
Well, I mean, this topic.
the scripture.
This topic goes into EED. That's the problem.
The scripture, when it says, like, for example, that God is love, like, do you believe that's true?
I think that, well, my understanding of that from, like, a Dionysian perspective is just that it means that God, like, when we look at what love is in its perfect form, that thing is sourced from God.
Yeah, so then you could say that God is that thing then, right?
No.
Not even source. Not even source. Like
The reason
love
we can't
itself is
say,
God.
the reason we'd say no to that, or the reason I understand why, like the apophatics would say no to that, is that the whole idea of apophaticism is to get out of the idea of God being, in any sense, likened to creation, or being like creation.
Sure.
So
I could
to
agree.
say that, so to
Sorry,
say
go
that
ahead.
God is like love, no, you're good. So to say that God is love, or some statement of like my understanding of what love is, can be a true like proposition attributed to God, would be to kind of break that rule.
Okay. I would agree with what you're saying, 100%. Like, for example, like when Saint Maximus says that whatever is said of creation is not said of God. So, like, when, like, if we say God, like, I have being, then we'll say God doesn't have being. Obviously, we don't mean that he doesn't exist, but like anything positive said of creation is a negation of God. Sure. But saying God is love is not a statement that's predicated upon his essence, but set of his energies. And would you say that you cannot even make cataphatic statements about God's energies?
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not, like, EED is probably the biggest thing I need to read right now. I'm like coupling it with
Yeah.
apophaticism, but I honestly don't know. My intuition says no, but I don't know. Bryce, do you, like, how well are you on like the apophaticism stuff? Like, would they say no to that?
I mean, like when it comes to like apophaticism, like I don't believe that like Saint Dionysius was obviously against any of the church fathers, right? Like you wouldn't say he was, right?
No, of course not.
And so like we could see like different situations, like especially in like the Cappadocians or even in like the Western Fathers as well, where like they definitely attribute these things to saying that it's of God's simplicity. You know what I mean? Like, like do you know?
I mean, if we're getting into the Western fathers, bro, like I guess this is like going to be the divide between like scholasticism and like the mysticism.
Well, I mean, like if have you ever heard of Saint Philotheos Kokkinos?
I have not.
So he's the friend and disciple of Saint Gregory Palamas, and
Mhm.
at the Fourth Palamite Synod, this was something that he actually had uttered. Give me a second here. Give me a second.
I sent something to you, Bryce, from Dionysius.
Abdul?
Hello, Basil.
Hello.
Five years later.
Sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I can't find the specific word in the notes. Now it's making me mad.
You just want to give like a general like.
Yeah, he basic yeah. So like what I was looking for specifically in here, I just have like so many freaking notes that I can't find the specific section. But like he says that, yes, we would say that the essence is simple, right? But then like he also says that even the energy is considered simple, right?
Yeah.
In God as well.
Oh, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
I mean, I think and in like the like very restricted like cataphatic sense, I think that could be said. Like I don't think that's contradictory to what Dionysius teaches.
No, I don't.
Can you read what I sent you on Discord, Bryce?
Yeah. Saint Dionysius, the Divine Names, Book 2, Chapter 7. It says, "For the truth is that everything divine and even everything revealed to us is only known by way of whatever share of them is granted. Their actual nature and what they are ultimately in their own source and ground is beyond all intellect and all being and all knowledge. When, for instance, we give the name of God to that transcendent hiddenness, we call it life or being or light or word. What our minds lay hold of is in fact nothing other than certain activities apparent to us, activities which deify, causing being, bear life, and give wisdom."
Okay. So this is what, so when he gives like a cataphatic statement, because he just did, but he says this is none other than the activities. This is when we will say these are the energies. This and St. Gregory Palamas will say these are the energies of God that you can give a cataphatic statement about. But if you're saying like cataphatic statement given to like God's substance, like essence, Palamas even addressed this in his 150 chapter, saying that these names are given to the substance improperly, but are obviously given to the intrinsic energies. Because obviously, when we call God creator or sustainer, these are cataphatic statements, but these are said of the energies of God, not his essence.
I think what Bryce just read and what you just said, well, maybe not what you just said, but what Bryce like read seems to be perfectly in line with what I was originally saying about how cataphatic statements can be made about God insofar as how we perceive him and how he acts. But these aren't genuine, like true propositions that can be attributed to what he is or who he is.
When you say what he is or who he is, when you say what, are you saying like his substance? Like his essence?
It could be in just like literally any sense intrinsic to God.
Well, okay. Before let's back up. Are you Orthodox?
Yeah, I'm chrismated.
Okay, I'm kind of confused because like with like the Palamite fathers and the cataphatic statement they give to God's energies, but saying that you cannot give these statements to God's essence. How do you kind of deal with that? I'm kind of lost.
Say it again.
Like for example, you have Gennadios when he says that Saint Gennadios when he says you can give cataphatic statements to God's energies, but you can't give cataphatic statements to God's essence. But the energies are God, according to these
maybe fathers. I don't know. Maybe Dionysius, like I don't know, Bryce. Maybe you can like help me out here. I don't know if Dionysius ever talks about the energies in this like robust way, but I mean, all I'm committed to like trying to say here is like I said, cataphatic statements can be made insofar as they are descriptions of how we perceive God or how we interact with God. Like that's from my understanding of reading Dionysius, which is brief. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you because that's what he says. It's the activities of that deifies or how we know him. Yeah, that is energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
I think we're saying the same thing.
I was going to say, I don't think. I think we're quibbling over something pointless here.
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing. We're just saying it differently. Yeah.
I don't know. Once I keep reading, I mean, Bryce, do you know if Dionysius like ever talks about like energies in a robust way, or is that just like a
not really?
Palamas thing?
Not exactly, and that's because of the fact that was really the point of what Saint Dionysius was trying to get across.
Yeah,
honestly. That thing that I was trying to talk about, by the way, with Saint Philotheos, this is kind of a different statement, but it's kind of similar to what I was trying to get at, where it says, "I must show him." This is in Against Gregoras, which is somebody who was holding to nominalistic understanding that basically all of the energies of God are created. He addresses this before the First Palamite Synod. He says, "I must show in part that these attributes pertaining to the divine nature, although not substances according to his teacher Eunomius, nor indeed certain self-subsistent shadows, and considered in themselves according to this unwise man, who has imagined Platonic ideas, and this one here with Akondinos, but rather as natural and essential to the divine nature, being understood co-eternally and indivisibly and divinely, not only being names empty of realities, nor flowing away together with the stricken air, according to this theologian who speaks from his belly. Therefore the great Basil says again, the Holy Spirit does not seek increase, being most perfect, therefore all things in him are perfect. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, wisdom, understanding, counsel, security, piety, knowledge, sanctification, redemption, faith, working of powers, gifts of healings, and whatever is similar to these, having nothing acquired in itself, but having all these things eternally as the Spirit of God, and having appeared from him, and him as the cause of himself, and springing from there. And he himself is the source of the aforementioned goods, but that which springs forth from God is hypostatic, while those which spring from him are him in general are his energies. Right, so he's denying.
Okay, I track that.
Okay, so he's denying two things here. He's denying that they're not just simply that they are something that attributes to the divine nature. So he is saying that. He is saying that it is something that attributes to the divine nature. But he's saying, though, that they're not substances. Right? Like Eunomius would basically say. That they're not created substances. Nor self-subsistent shadows, and considered in themselves, according to this unwise man. So he's also saying that they're not self-subsistent things, either. Meaning that the subsistence of the energy is something that's in the essence alone. So they don't subsist on their own, right?
Yeah, I track that.
Yeah. So then therefore there is, in a sense, where we can say that the energies predicate to God, right? In the sense of being his nature, right? The essence and the energies would be considered materially identical.
I was
right?
just
in the
going to ask
sense
that.
it's
Okay,
the
so
one
that makes
the one
sense.
God.
Okay, so I mean, I guess I just have to like finish reading the Dionysian stuff, go to Maximus, and then I mean these other writers. But
You read St.
I
John
mean, I don't
Damascus
know.
on this first?
What specific writing? I've been reading so much recently because I'm on vacation.
Book 3
I'm
on the
so
exposition.
Bored. I think I did. I think I read that a very long time ago, like before I was even chrismated.
Yeah.
I'll go back and read it though.
I would probably read that specific section again, if you've read that before.
Bryce, look what I sent you.
Okay. Ugh.
But my understanding is that maybe cataphatic statements can be made about the energies.
Saint Dionysius, that's the divine names, right? Yeah, the divine names, book 2, chapter 3. It says, the unified names apply to the entire Godhead, as I showed at length and by way of scriptural examples in my theological representations, which we don't have that work, to be fair. But hence titles such as the following: the transcendently good, the transcendently divine, the transcendently existing, the transcendently living, the transcendently wise. These and similar terms concern a denial in the sense of a superabundance. Likewise, the names which have a causal sense, names like good, beautiful, existent, life-giving, wise, and so forth, are ascribed to the cause of all things because of all the good gifts it has dispensed. Then there are names expressing distinctions, the transcendent name and proper activity of the Father, Son, and the Spirit. Here the titles cannot be interchanged, nor are they held in common, and said to be differentiated is the perfect and unchangeable being of Jesus among us, and the mysteries of his existence and his love of humanity, which are manifested here.
I mean, yeah, that kind of sounds like pretty much exactly what I was saying, like towards the very beginning. You know, like the super transcendent stuff, and then the causal relation. All of those things are what I understand to be like the apophatic.
But you believe that
like the
denotes
apophatic
cause
slash
of all
cap.
things, right?
Say it again.
But you believe that thing is the cause, that it denotes the cause of all things, right?
What God? Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, because it says it's ascribed to the cause of all things. So
The
then, would you,
cataphatic
and is the cause of all things God?
Well, yeah, we can say that. Well, to say that God is the cause of all things, yeah, that should be fine.
Well, then,
because we're describing a causal relationship.
Yeah. So then, and you wouldn't say that there's two essences in God, right?
Obviously not.
So in a sense, that it is then referencing God Himself from His energies.
Yeah, like I said about the energies, like I'm not sure what like the relation between like the apophatic saying and the energies would be. Like maybe I don't know if like Dionysius restricts it to just the or just the like essence being talked about in the
No,
apophatic way, or
no.
if
Okay.
So we're
he's.
saying the
I
only
mean, we're
way to
assuming.
actually talk about the essence is by energies.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's the point
Oh,
of
that makes sense.
not even Dionysius, but like all our fathers, like even what
You can't make a name for the essence in any way, shape, or form that doesn't denote an energy.
or actually,
Yeah, that
I
makes
think
sense.
there'll be a good quote for this. Here, let me send it to you, right?
Bro, of course he got a quote, bro. Dang.
Like for example, we can say that God is love because he loves us.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that God doesn't love us. Like,
Of course.
it seems pretty silly to say.
St. Gregory Palamas, in his 150 chapters, in chapter 144, he says the substance of God is entirely unnameable since it is completely incomprehensible. Thus, it is given names on the basis of all of its intrinsic energies, although none of the names there differs from another in its denotation. For on the basis of each and all the names, nothing other than is named in the hidden one, while what it is in no way known. But in the case of the energies, each of the names has a different meaning. For who does not know that creating, ruling, judging, guiding providentially, and God's adopting us as sons by his grace are different from one another? So that's him also saying that there's a simplicity of the energies as well.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, I think I think I'm understanding it. Like I said, I have a lot of like reading to do regarding it, so I'm gonna do all that. But
a good word to read on this. Sorry to cut you off again, but I really apologize. But a good word to read on this is Saint Gennadios Scholarios. It's called on the essence and energy and its distinction. He talks about like apophatic and cataphatic terms that can be predicated of God, and he quotes a lot of fathers. So
okay, which writing is this?
It's called Saint Gennadios Scholarios, though that's the name of his father. And it's called On the Essence and Energy and Its Distinctions. It should be in Bryce's server, like the PDF. It should be in his server.
It's not an AI translation either, so that's actually a really good thing to bring up for this.
Yeah. Scholarly translation is actually very good, and it talks on this subject a little bit.
God bless the panel. How y'all doing?
God bless.
What's up?
So I've been reading, all right, and I was trying to figure out, at least on my own, I'm sure you guys have already figured it out, cracked the scope, but like just how to translate what we understand when it comes to eternal manifestation to like what they say and how they say it. And so let me know if I'm Abdul, you can let me know too, like am I wrong in it? So what I've understood it how now is it all rests on the difference between first actuality and second actuality. First actuality is going to denote the existential cause that the Father produces the Son and the Spirit, right? Second actuality, I think, is what Augustine is actually saying and talking about, and that would be eternal manifestation, that the Father and the Son can be one quote-unquote principle only insofar as second actuality, which maps on the scripture when Christ says that the Father will send the Spirit in his name and he will send the Spirit from the Father. But this is not denoting any type of existential cause.
A better type of wording to use for that, like if you're talking with a Catholic, is because they like to use this thing called imminent and transient acts. Do you know what that is?
Imminent acts is going to be basically what's happening ad intra. Transient acts is basically what happens ad extra.
Yeah. So the principle for the Holy Spirit ad extra is the Father and the Son.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Wait, question. When you say Saint Augustine, are you referring to Book 5, Chapter 14 of De Trinitate, when he says they're the one principle?
Yeah.
I would agree with what you guys are saying. I wouldn't interpret that passage like that. I don't think that's what he's talking about at all in Book 5. I think when he says they're the one cause, he's talking about in the sense as the Spirit being a gift. Because if you read the whole entire chapter, first he calls it, when he talks about the spirit of Elijah, because Elijah gave his spirit to Elisha as a gift, and then God gives the spirit. Christ is able to give the spirit to the disciples, and obviously the Father gives the spirit to the Son. So he's showing that this spirit is given to other people in creation as a gift, and by that, the Father and the Son is the one principle.
Yeah,
of
that's
his
what we're
gift.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
second
okay. That's
actuality.
So it,
okay. So
it
when
denotes
when-
economically, but it also denotes eternal manifestation, right?
okay, so
Right.
when you guys are saying like an add extra cause, you're saying like the cause, like this cause or this product is the Spirit insofar as a gift. Add extra.
So far as the graces of the graces of energies of the Spirit are being given to creation from the Father and the Son as one quote unquote principle, but this one principle is not an existential causation. It's a second actuality. So the movement, right, or the energetic movement of said thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could just simply say it's like how Saint John of Damascus puts it in book 3, that is just the
Yeah.
natural aptitude of their nature
Right.
to become the
Right.
Father through the Son and the Spirit.
Right.
And he is you could say he's the terminus or the end product of their will or energy. Hence, he would be the product, so to say, even though he's not really the product.
Yeah. I guess I'm saying more like I think they would understand the term second actuality.
If you say second actuality, they'll try to basically say, "Oh, so God's not pure acting."
Yeah, that's how I took it. Honestly, when you said like first, I was like, what?
Well, why would they think that? Why would they think that God's not pure active because we say second actuality?
Because first and second actuality denotes that there's 2 steps to God's act. Right.
Yeah, I took it as you're saying like. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like for example, when you say second actuality, right, that would be referring to basically. That's not exactly referring to a logical priority. That's kind of referring to like an actual like ontological priority, rather like something that's actually in reality, not just logical.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of like causes God to be composite in a sense. Like if you're talking about
metaphysical composition.
Like a metaphysical composition.
I took it as potential to move into actual. When you said second causality, that's why I was like, whoa.
Well, when I say if we're talking about things like add extra, and not add intra, wouldn't it then still follow as far as like second actuality because it's happening outside of God? I'm not meaning happening inside of God. Or
I mean, like in the case of like the gift itself, like what is moving potential to actual is like me receiving the gift, not God giving the gift.
Yeah,
because it's like eternal.
But but there is the reason why you wouldn't want to say that it's like second actuality itself, though, is because if you're talking about eternal manifestation specifically, that is something that is internal to God to a degree, right? Like if you're talking about, for example, the fact that the Son can send the Spirit, right? I'm saying that he has the faculty or the power to send the Spirit alongside the Father. That's something that's given to the Son by his begetting.
Yeah.
Right. So if you say that there's a second actuality, that's basically saying that the inner Trinitarian life has nothing to do with eternal manifestation, and that the second actuality basically is just entirely it just collapses into economic procession at that point alone. Which doesn't really argue for any of our understanding of the ability to send the Spirit being from eternity.
And like, yeah, and like, only thing, I mean, for me, simply like the only thing that would be like add extra is just a product of this like will or like energy that's being given to us, or like you could say like the effect of the energy, but like the eternal manifestation, the whole process itself, outside of the effect of it would be eternal to God. Like this is not something that we could just say like, oh, it's external to God. Like Saint Maximus in his 64th response to Thalassius, I think he says that the Spirit proceeds essentially from the Father and through the Son given to the Church, and this is essential, so not something external. It's a central product. And as Bryce said, quoting St. Augustine, Book 15, that it was given to the Son for the Spirit to proceed from him by his beginning.
All right. So, okay. So then, how do you if we're saying it in a scholastic way, like in what means right is the Son, like what did you say in the beginning, Bryce? What about
imminent
book 5?
Imminent transient acts.
Yeah. So you said for transient acts, the Father and the Son are one principle of the Spirit in that manner.
Yeah, because like in terms of anything that's going out from God, the principle of the Holy Spirit being the end of all of these energies is the Father and the Son that way. Yeah.
I see. I see. I see. I see. Okay.
Because he's determinate. And you can even quote Pope Saint I can never pronounce his name. He says that he's the completion. Hippolytus, thank you, brother. He says he's the completion of the will. The spirit is completion. So because he's the terminus, you can say he's the end product or he's the product in this sense.
So how did this not reflect for imminent for how did the transient acts do not reflect the imminent acts, and then you have to say that the Father and Son are together as one?
Because if you affirm that basically the Father causes the Son and the Spirit simultaneously, then that is actually an argument you can make that the oh gosh, what's that word called? The taxis or the order of the Trinity is something that's denoted through transient acts. It's not denoted through imminent acts. So if you hold the position that, for example, that I hold the position that the taxis of the Trinity is gotten through transient acts, that it's not gotten through imminent acts. And so when it comes to the Holy Spirit, right, if the taxis is not something that exists in terms of the Father to the Son to the Spirit, right, in terms of the processions, because that's actually something that our fathers argue against, like St. Gregory Palamas argues against the taxis actually being something that's imminent in the Trinity itself, but rather that it's nominal in the transient acts, that it's nominal in the energies, right, the way that the energies flow forth. Then, therefore, we could say that the Holy Spirit comes from the Father and the Son in that manner, or that he proceeds from the Father and the Son in that manner. But it doesn't necessitate that then, therefore, the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Son, right? So if you talk about like adequacy, if you say that that is the Father adequate, right, to precede the Spirit on his own, is everything that is possible in God happen in God? Yes, which nobody would deny. And therefore, the Father fully spirates the Spirit and doesn't. It's simultaneous to the begetting of the Son. So then, the Holy Spirit already exists prior to actually denoting a taxis, right? Already exists solely from the Father prior to the taxis being denoted.
Okay, I see. Okay. What would you recommend as far as like the forbidden go back on which?
What was the question? What was the question again?
What I was just about to ask, or what I asked before?
What you asked before? It's
I said why. I said if.
Oh
I
yeah,
said,
yeah, I remember.
Why does it not reflect into imminent X? Why does it not reflect?
Yeah.
Why does it not reflect into imminent X?
Yeah. That argument is so blunt because Saint Epiphanius says that the Father and the Spirit sends the Son into creation. So if we want to use that it reflects, then the Father and the Spirit begets the Son, but that's obviously dumb.
Mm-hmm.
He quite literally says this: Christ is from the Father and the Spirit, and the Spirit is from the Father and the Son. But he uses the word Christ because, as Saint Ambrose says, and Saint well, am I forgetting his name? Saint John Cassian, that the name Christ signifies both natures, and that's why when he says the Spirit proceeds from the Son, he's obviously using the word Son that indicates it's just the hypostasis of the Son, not both natures. As when how Saint Cyril says one incarnate nature of the Son or one incarnate nature of the Word, but he never says one incarnate nature of Christ. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
This dude somehow finds a way to always talk about Christology. Crazy.
Amen.
Hilarious.
No, literally, it's actually impossible.
To sharpen up on that proper articulation that you guys both said, who do you who should I, or what should I I probably have over the books that you're saying. What should I go back and refresh up on to get that more solid?
I mean, if you're talking about like the order argument, like I just gave regarding like how like the order doesn't necessitate the imminent acts of the Trinity, Saint Gregory Palamas' apodictic treatises on the procession of the Holy Spirit is like where he talks about that a lot.
Okay, I got that.
Work.
Okay.
I would read Archbishop Lord Jason of Rome. He is taught me everything. He is taught me everything I know.
Do you have that? Do you have that work?
Archbishop Lord Jason of Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Do you have it like electronically?
Yeah, it's called the 53rd letter of Saint Cyril.
The what?
The forgery of Saint Cyril, the 53rd letter. It's by Archbishop Lord Jason of Rome. Whatever happened to Jason? I haven't seen Jason.
Can you send that to me on
Dom,
Discord?
he's trolling you.
Oh, yeah, you actually trolling me?
Yeah, he is.
Are you serious, Basil?
No, bruh.
Like he didn't get that.
I didn't get it
No,
at all.
He
Abdul.
didn't
He
get it at
didn't.
all. We
He
needed you,
didn't.
bro.
I didn't get it at
Abdul,
all.
I think he became kind of irrelevant because he became SSPX and most Catholics sort of stopped platforming him, I think.
Hey man, this dry out humor is not gonna follow me, bro. I don't know what's going on. But,
Abdul, the work was on the wait, hold on.
all right. So his apodictic treatise, Bryce.
Huh?
Yes. The apodictic treatise on the procession of the Holy Spirit.
The apodictic treatises.
Apodictic.
Apodictic. It's not apodictic. It doesn't say that. It says apodictic.
My mom said hypodatic.
Bruh.
Abdul, it's on the. Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting it every time I swipe off. It's like on the hold 1 second.
Observe the W.
On the distinction between the essence and its divine energies.
Hey,
Bryce, last time I checked, it's not apo.
The essence and the energy are really distinct.
Yo, look at his search now. Look at him.
Hey, wait, hold on. Hey, Anthony.
Do you have
That's weird, bro. That's weird.
You said Bryce has the whole thing in his Discord?
Wait. Hold on. Wait, we just gotta freaking. Hold on.
Wait, it's Anthony in the chat, bro. What are you saying?
Ooh.
What's
that
word say?
What's that word say?
It says
apophatic. Apophatic. They are really distinct and identical, and how that doesn't violate this.
Bryce, the Logi that I'm contained in was conceptually was conceptually in God's mind when I made that joke.
Nice. Bryce and Abdul, you're saying that he has this work on his Discord, right?
What work?
That Saint Gennadios work, yes.
Yes, it should be.
Time to reinstall that godforsaken app, I guess.
Hear me out. Don't talk to people on it.
It's like unironic. I'm just gonna go in, just like make a new account, just purely to be in Bryce's server to read this thing.
Anthony, hold on. Anthony in the chat. When you say a real distinction, please, for the love of your life, explain what you mean by real distinction to people.
Bryce, I have a completely off-topic question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Were you an EO while you were in the military?
No.
He was a Jew.
True.
Nice. I remember him talking about this in the Discord.
No, I was Pentecostal. I was Pentecostal when I was in the military.
Yeah, no, he actually told his sergeant that on Friday day to Saturday evening, he can't do anything.
Okay, hold on, Basil 1 second. Okay, Anthony, Habibi.
Until you see 3 stars in the sky.
Anthony, in your mind, you're thinking formal actual, but you're telling them that they're really distinct from each other. Anybody that hears that something is really distinguished from one another is obviously going to think major real, Anthony. Come on, man. You just got to be clear.
Bryce, the reason I ask is I'm sworn into the Air Force, and I'm probably going to be a special operator. Based on my training right now, they kind of want me to do that.
You're going to end up going to JTAC, like JTAC school?
Yeah. The 2 jobs that I'm looking at are Special Recon and TAC-P.
Yeah. I mean, both of those are pretty damn cool, dude. If you want to work a lot with the Marines and do shit with like MARSOC, TAC-P is a lot cooler. If you want to do stuff with like Army, then Recon is better. Depends on who you want to work with more.
Your canons say you have to hold to the acts of a council. Amen?
Hey, Bryce, were you aware that the Russian Patriarchate states that the Constantinopolitan Patriarchate has illegal or illicit sacraments? Did you know that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, bro.
Oh no.
I knew. I said it. I wrote it.
Like, did you know that that was a thing? Because apparently, that's an actual thing, even though the Archbishop vehemently denies this.
I wrote it. I am the forger. I'm the one that went around and started forging words of people in the past.
Wait.
Well, according to King Abe, the Western Patriarchate believes our sacraments are invalid and illicit. According to
Abdul, were you the one who brought all of the forgeries to Florence?
Dude, I'm the one that wrote one incarnate nature of God the Word and attributed to Athanasius. That was me. that was me.
Wait, oh, and then I know. Then you snuck in Hypostaton in that same work, right?
You damn right. I'm the one that went back in time and rewrote St. Gregory of Nyssa works to be teaching eternal manifestation. I did that. I went in with it. I was the Photian that went back and twist the Father's words. Come on, man.
It was me.
It was me, Barry.
Okay. Have any of you guys seen the?
Wait, Abdul, you're just Leontius of Jerusalem, aren't you?
We never got a picture of him, is all I'm saying.
True.
Leontius trying to refute his opponents and creates a whole entire letter.
I had somebody. I saw somebody on freaking TikTok the other day quote Leontius of Jerusalem, and they showed the icon of Leontius II of Jerusalem as the icon for it, and I was like, bro, no! Oh my gosh, it's like when people use the picture of freaking Saint Nicholas Cabasilos, and then they say it's Saint Nielos. It's just like, brother, please don't pick the first picture that pops up on Google. That's not how that works. Leontius of Jerusalem doesn't have images of him. Don't put pictures of him as your thing. There's one picture of Leontius of Byzantium, and it's on a coin.
Hey, that's like using Gennadios the First as the icon for Saint Gennadios.
Yeah. Hey, you don't know the difference between Byzantium and Jerusalem? Yeah, I'm dropping you. I'm not going to debate you.
All right. Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed. Time's up.
I think you're identical. You're absolutely identical to your beard, Bryce.
Yeah,
what do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say?
I am materially identical to my beard.
No, I ain't gonna lie.
Absolutely.
His hairline and his hair is like two different reses.
That's fine. My hair's been looking better. It don't hurt me no more.
Says who?
Me.
You just
wait, Basil. I can't wait for your shit to not grow back when you get a haircut one day. I'm gonna laugh.
His hairline is absolutely identical to Chrysostom's hairline.
It's actually not, but you know it's all right. I'll get you.
That's your hairline got theosis, man. I'm trying to tell you.
All right, I killed the TikTok stream. Screw those guys. It's all good. God bless everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. I know that I spent the first bit of my thing just refuting some stupid shit on Twitter, but this was a good one. It wasn't like crazy unfruitful.